So hey guys, how are you all? Welcome to. So we are back with a brand new movie on Imagine if Naruto did dirty things with Yugito one night long during Chunin exam. But before we start, be sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Now let's begin the story.
A 7-year-old boy was running through the almost empty streets of Konoha.
The boy himself was 4 feet 1.25 meters. He has long, black, spiky hair. His eyes are onyx black, exactly the same as his brothers, mothers and fathers. He has slightly tanned skin and a lean build for a kid of his age, thanks to his training with his older brother Uchiha Shisui. However, his trademark characteristics are the 3 whiskers on each of his cheeks, which shows that he is a Jinchuriki of Kyuubi no Yoko. The boy was wearing a dark blue, high-collared, long-sleeved shirt, with an Uchiha clan's crest on the back, black shorts, which went down to his knees. He also wears blue shinobi sandals with an opening for toes. Uchiha Naruto was born in the main branch of the Uchiha clan. His mother, Uchiha Yumi, was sister to Uchiha Fugaku, the current head of Uchiha clan, thus making him a possible clan head if Fugaku's son, Uchiha Itachi, didn't want or could not be the next clan head. Naruto's father, Uchiha Sasuke, was the son of Uchiha Kagami, Sandame's best friend. When Sasuke was born, Kagami decided to name him after Hiruzen's father. Fugaku also wanted to name his second child Sasuke, but he and his wife, Uchiha Makoto, decided not to have a second son. Naruto also had a brother, Uchiha Shisui, who was 8 years older than Naruto. The young Naruto also found a brother figure in Itachi, who was a few years younger than Shisui. The 3 of them would often train together. Even though Naruto was much younger than the 2, he always went with them to train. Uchiha Naruto was 2 weeks old during the Kyuubi's attack on the village hidden in the leaves. During the attack, Uchiha Sasuke died as he was one of the shinobis who was on the battlefield and tried to stop the tailed beast.
Unfortunately for Naruto, he was the only newborn at this time and Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato, had to seal the beast inside of the Uchiha to save the village. Good thing was that no one besides the current Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, his 2 advisors, Naruto himself and each current clan head. And to this, Sandame made a law that nobody is to talk about this, otherwise, they will be killed. Naruto was a mix between his mother and father. He was very goofy and there was nothing that could change his good mood, exactly like his mother, but he was also smart and was able to keep his emotions in check if he needed to. Sadly, Naruto's personality has changed drastically when his mother died from a disease when he was 5.
That was also the day when he awakened his Sharingan, with 2 tomo in each eye. Since then, both Itachi and Shisui took Naruto's training seriously and had pushed him to his limits. When Shisui's younger brother had learned that his mother died, he became pretty much like Itachi. Calm, serious, never showing his emotions to anyone. At least that's what everyone who saw him thought. Naruto didn't become cold, he was still the same goofy kid, but he simply didn't show it to anyone he didn't know. At age of 6, a few weeks before he became 7, Naruto was able to master his Sharingan under the guidance of his 2 older brothers. Both of the teenage Uchihas were proud of their younger brother because he was the youngest Uchiha in the history to ever master the Sharingan. When Fugaku heard about this from his son, he said that Naruto a genius, even for the Uchiha standards, exactly like Shisui and Itachi, of course. This news spread very fast and soon almost everyone in the village knew about the new upcoming genius of the Uchiha clan.
A few minutes ago, the Sandame had requested Naruto in his office. He said that he had some news for the young Uchiha. When Naruto arrived, the 3rd Hokage told Naruto that his older brother Shisui was on a mission, but the mission went bad and Shisui sacrificed himself to save his teammates. After hearing this, Naruto's world had been broken apart. His only family died and for 2 months even Itachi wasn't too much around since he had many Anbu matters. Now, Naruto was running through the almost empty streets of Konoha, since it was already late and everybody was either home or at some bar, drinking with friends. The boy was hurrying to the Uchiha compound since he wanted nothing more to close himself in his room and cry his heart out, even though he promised himself that he wouldn't cry anymore. As he arrived at the gates of the compound he didn't see any guards. This wasn't unusual, but it happened very rarely. As he walked through the streets, he noticed that it was very quiet. As he walked for another few meters, he saw someone laying on the ground. When Naruto ran to him, he could see that the person was lying in his own blood.
Who could have done this? Naruto asked himself as he runs towards his home.
On the way there he could see more and more bodies, everyone around him was dead. As he neared his house, which was next to the clan's heads, he could hear something splashing on the ground from Itachi's house. Without any second thought, he rushed towards the place where he heard the noises with his Sharingan active and a kunai, which he picked from the ground, in his hand. As he was about to enter the garden of the house, he heard the door open. The next thing he saw made him freeze. In front of him was Uchiha Itachi, his older brother figure, with a tanto on which was blood. He also was wearing his Anbu clothes, which were also in blood. Itachi looked at the stunned form of Naruto and smirked inwardly. Everything according to plan. Shisui, Itachi released a massive amount of killing intent, which resulted in Naruto's Sharingan deactivating. Itachi ni, wy. Naruto shouted in anger, fear, and confusion. Itachi raised his eyebrow at the question, still releasing the ki. To measure my power, Naruto-kun. Here, let me show you, he said in a calm, yet cold tone. Suddenly, Itachi's Sharingan morphed into a three-bladed shuriken and he looked into Naruto's eyes. Tsukuyomi. Tsukuyomi world. Naruto suddenly found himself in another world, where the moon and sky were red, but the ground was black. While Naruto was looking around, cross materialized behind him and he was chained on the cross. Not a moment later, Itachi appeared in front of him with an impassive look.
Welcome to my world, Naruto-kun. Here I control everything, even time. 72 hours here are merely 5 seconds in the outside world. I will show you now what happened tonight, the older Uchiha said, and the world changed into the Uchiha compound. A moment later, no matter where Naruto would look, he would see Itachi killing everyone, blood spilling on the ground and buildings. Even when Naruto tried to close his eyes, they would open themselves. The young boy couldn't bear it anymore and he started to shout.
Itachi ni, stop this. I beg you, please stop it. Ni-san, help. Naruto shouted as tears flooded from his eyes.
I don't think that Shisui will be able to help you. He is dead. Do you remember, or should I remind it? Itachi asked, and the scenery changed into a forest where a group of 5 was followed by at least 20 other persons. Suddenly one of the 5 stopped and took out a kunai. The single person tried to fight, but he was overwhelmed, but instead killing him, the 20 took him and started torturing him.
Ni-san. Naruto shouted and the sky started to break and then it shattered into pieces. Mangekyo Sharingan, Itachi said with a small smirk on his face as he looked into Naruto's new eyes. A red 6-pointed star on a black background with a single black circle in the middle. Like Sasuke's in canon. Naruto looked at Itachi with his new eyes which started to slightly bleed from the overuse. Everything worked out. Now it is up to you, Shisui, Itachi thought as he took out a scroll and tossed it in front of Naruto, who was slipping into unconsciousness. Itachi ni, why? Naruto asked, fatigue clear in his voice. Itachi chooses to ignore the question as he slowly started to walk away. A moment before he had to leave, he turned around, making Naruto see as a single tear of sadness fell from his eye. Goodbye, Ototo, he said and dissolved into a murder of crows, which flew away, leaving Naruto alone. The black-haired boy could hear steps, but he had no energy left and passed out. On the next day, the village hidden in the leaves heard the tragic news about one of the strongest, if not the strongest clan in Konoha. Uchiha clan has been murdered by Uchiha Itachi who, by the assumptions of the villagers, had cracked under the pressure of being Anbu. There was only one survivor, Uchiha Naruto, son of Uchiha Yumi and Uchiha Sasuke, brother of Uchiha Shisui. 2 days later, Konoha Hospital. Naruto opened his eyes just to close them as a lamp was being above his eyes. He let his eyes accustom to the new light and started to slowly open them again. When his eyes were open he slowly sat up and looked around to see that he was in a hospital room. Naruto turned to the door, which he heard that was opened by someone. When the door was open, it revelated Sarutobi Hiruzen. Hello, Naruto-kun. How are you feeling? Sarutobi asked as he sat on a chair next to the black-haired boy's bed. Good morning, Hokage-sama. I feel good, Naruto said with a sad smile. Hiruzen smiled seeing that the boy won't become some emo, revenge-wanting, brooding brat. Naruto-kun, I have a few questions for you, Sandaime said. Naruto nodded and Sarutobi asked his first question. Naruto-kun, what happened? He asked. After leaving from your office, I went home and there was very quiet in the compound. When I was about to enter my house, I hear something happening in Makoto Oba-chan's house, so I went to see what was happening. When I got close, Itachi came out and put me under some genjutsu in which he showed me how he killed the clan and then how someone was torturing Ni-san and then I was lying on the ground and passed out, Naruto asked truthfully. Sandaime nodded his head. And what can you tell me about the blood that we found on your face? The aged Kage asked. Naruto thought about that for a moment before his eyes widened.
I can tell, but if you promise to keep it a secret, Naruto said, and Hiruzen nodded with a slight smile. After seeing that Sandaime agreed, Naruto closed his eyes and activated his Sharingan and showed it to the third Hokage. A moment later, the Sharingan morphed into its next form. Mangekyo Sharingan, Hiruzen exclaimed, with shock written all over his face. Naruto nodded and deactivated his Sharingan. After clearing his throat, Sandaime took out a scroll from his sleeve. Naruto eyed the scroll curiously. "What is this scroll, Hokage-sama?" the young boy asked, and the old man nodded. "We found you lying unconscious in front of the scroll. We opened it, but first the scroll is blank. It looks like only a person with a Sharingan will be able to read the content of this scroll," Hiruzen said as he placed the scroll next to Naruto. "Well, Naruto-kun. I will be going now. Remember, if you will need something, just come to my office," Hiruzen said and left the room. Naruto opened the scroll and activated his Sharingan once more, and now he could easily read what was inside. "Dear Naruto-chan. If you are reading this, that means I am dead and Itachi probably gave it to you. First, you must know that what Itachi did was not what it looked like. In reality, the Uchiha clan wanted to do a coup d'état. Hokage-sama tried to negotiate, but the elders of our clan thought that they would be able to defeat the entire village. After the negotiations went bad, I and Itachi took a mission to eliminate the Uchiha clan and leave the village as rogue ninjas. Unfortunately, I didn't make it, so it all fell on Itachi, who I gave a mission to awaken your Mangekyo before he leaves. Now you are probably mad at me for doing this, but you must understand that you will need the power in the near future. When you awake your Mangekyo, go to the Hokage and tell him that you want an eye transplant. I left eyes of our mother in our secret seal at our home. They will be safe there. I know, you don't understand a thing from what I wrote here, just go to the Naka shrine, everything will be answered about the eyes there. Now, I also left a few more scrolls for you at the seal. Alright, coming to the more important things, there is a person in the village that you should never trust. Shimura Danzo. No matter what he would want with you, never listen to him, the best avoid him with everything you can. Also watch out for him Anbu, also known as Root. They look the same as normal Anbu, but on their masks is always kanji for nay. Their reason why I and Itachi took the mission is that the Uchiha clan thought that they were a god amongst mortals. This stupid belief made them arrogant and they tried to revolt. We were allowed to let live those who we believe can gain the pride of the clan back and will not believe in their power. Or at least something like that. Itachi told me to write it. Well, don't hate the village, they did it to save countless lives and prevent a civil war. I guess that is all I want to tell you. I am sorry that you will have to live alone, but I believe in you. You are strong Naruto, and me, mother and father will be watching over you the whole time. The best brother in the whole world. The biggest legend in the elemental nations. The best Shunshin user on the continent. Brother of the next shinobi legend. Uchiha Shisui, Naruto watched as a single tear fell on the scroll, before closing it and putting it on a small table, which is next to his bed. Naruto laid himself on the bed and started to order everything that happened in the last 24 hours in his head. And to think that the academy starts in 2 weeks. 2 free weeks for training to bring back the pride of the Uchiha clan. He thought and slowly went back to sleep. It has been a week since the Uchiha massacre and the mood in the village has been somber. 3 days after the massacre, every villager came on a large funeral for the Uchiha clan. Since the day, every villager, especially civilians and civilian council, tried to do everything for Naruto to make him listen to them and marry their daughters. Smart move, especially since he is only 7 and surely want to marry someone already, especially a pink-haired, screeching banshee. Cough Sakura cough. At this moment, we can see our last Uchiha in the village walking through the busy streets of Konoha. He was coming back from a talk with Hiruzen about the scroll that Shisui gave him. When Naruto told Sandaime that his brother has left this message for him, the old man asked Naruto how he feels about this. Naruto said that he is very sad and angry, but he understands. After talking about some less serious matters, Naruto asked for the eyes implant. The third Hokage wanted to say no first, but thinking that it could possibly help the village, plus Naruto had all rights to simply go to another village in Fire Country and do it there, Hiruzen told Naruto to come to the hospital in 2 days and bring the eyes with him. After they spent several more minutes talking, Naruto decided that it was already time for him to go back home. As Naruto entered his clan's compound, he decided to train since it was about 7 p.m. and haven't a good training session since the massacre. As he walked on the training grounds, he had a feeling that someone was following him. Deciding to ignore it, thinking that it was one of his fangirls, who often followed him to watch how he trained, but he usually was able to lose them. Yes, since the funeral Naruto has gained his own fan club which grew with every day. As Naruto started stretching, he felt that the presence too close to his position. No, a moment later, the dark-haired boy had to jump back to avoid getting hit with a rain of shuriken. In a swift motion, Naruto took a defensive fighting stance and waited for his opponents to show up, while he activated his Sharingan. Suddenly 2 figures jumped out of the bushes and stood in front of Naruto. one smirking with a tanto and the other had an emotionless face with two kunai in each hand. The one on Naruto's left, who had the tanto, was wearing a normal Chunin attire from Kumogakure and his headband on his forehead. He had short, spiky blonde hair and green eyes. In addition, he had a scar going down from his right eye to his chin. The one on Naruto's right had also a Chunin attire of the same village, but his hite was on his right biceps. His hair was brown and tied in a ponytail, with his eyes being brown as well. "Who are you and what do you want with me?" Naruto asked as his Sharingan looked discreetly to see if there was anybody else with them. Ma, under normal circumstances I wouldn't be telling you, but if we are going to take you back, you should at least know our names. My name is Taro, said the one with tanto, smirking. The other one only grunted. Samri Takeshi, the brown-haired one said with a blank voice. Taro, get the kid, Takeshi ordered. The blonde just smirked and took a fighting stance. Well, kid. We can either do this the easy way or the hard way. To save my time I say that you come quietly with us and I won't harm you. Too much, he said with an arrogant smirk. I see, but I must disappoint you because I'm not coming with you neither the hard or the easy way. I have to attend the academy in a week, he said and started going through hand seals faster than most of Genin could do. Kaden. Great Fireball Jutsu. Naruto exhaled the iconic jutsu of the Uchiha clan towards his opponents. The two Kumo nin jumped aside as the jutsu hit the place where they stood. Taro rushed to confront Naruto in a kenjutsu fight as Naruto took out a kunai and blocked an attack from the Kumo nin's tanto. The two of them dodged, blocked and reflected attacks of the other person. Taro had almost no problems as he had experience and faster than the Uchiha, but Naruto was able to predict Taro's movement and after a few moments found a pattern in which the Kumo shinobi attacked. Seeing an opening, Naruto suddenly threw his kunai at Taro who had to deflect the weapon to not get hit in the head. At this moment Naruto made a one-handed seal and locked eyes with Taro and jumped back. In a swift motion, he took out 8 shuriken and threw them at Taro, while going through hand seals. Kaden. Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Naruto spits out 8 small chakra-infused fireballs which hit the shuriken and merged with them. Being too close to jump out of the way and having too many projectiles attacking him, Taro started doing his own set of hand seals at a rapid pace. Sweden. Water encampment wall. Water started to flow out of Taro's mouth and created a wall which blocked the small fireballs, but to the Kumo nin's shock, the shuriken didn't stop and hit him. 2 dug into his left thigh, 1 in each of his shoulders, 1 into his right calf and 3 into his torso, but didn't cut too deep, because of the flak jacket and the water slowing the weapons. Both of them jumped back and stared at each other. You little fucker. Taro shouted and blood started flowing from his thigh, shoulders, and calf.
You are lucky that I am under orders not to kill you, but Raikage-sama hasn't said anything about you losing an arm or leg. He shouted and started to laugh maniacally. He took his tanto out again and rushed towards Naruto who already took out 2 kunai and held them in a reverse grip. The two of them started another kenjutsu battle with neither of them getting the upper hand. After another exchange of blades, both of them jumped back with several cuts on each of them.
I've got to say you are a good brat, but not enough, Taro shouted and was about to run when something caught his collar and touched his forehead. He could feel another chakra enter his system and suddenly, Naruto, vanished. Taro looked to who was holding him and saw a panting Takashi who had many bruises on his body. Takeshi. What happened? Taro asked, seeing how Naruto suddenly disappeared in thin air. The brat caught you into a genjutsu and tried to stop me from dispelling him, Takeshi grunted. Taro looked wide-eyed at his partner and his eyes soon narrowed. Where is he? I am going to tear this fucker apart.
The blonde-haired shinobi shouted, venom dripping from his voice, but calmed down when he saw that Takeshi gave him a cold look. Before the other Chunin could answer, the two of them had to jump away again as another fireball hit the spot on which they stood. When they looked from where the Kaden jutsu came, they saw Naruto standing in front of them, with a single kunai with an explosive note attached to it. Taro raised a brow at this and smirked.
Do you really think that a single kunai with an explosive note will be enough to defeat us? He asked arrogantly, but his smirk vanished when he saw Naruto giving him the infamous, superior Uchiha smirk. If I catch you into a genjutsu again, then yes, Naruto said arrogantly, or at least what he thought what someone arrogant sounded. Before any of the 2 Kumo shinobi could do, the last loyal Uchiha threw the kunai high into the sky and made a one-handed ram seal. The explosive note. Well, exploded. But instead a usual explosion, it was red-colored. Huh. Your aim sucks. Taro shouted, not realizing what just happened. Unfortunately or fortunately, for Taro, Takeshi looked wide-eyed at the red color. Taro, we have to leave. Now, he shouted. Taro, though not knowing why, simply nodded and the duo was about to flee, but another fireball flew at him and he had to substitute himself with a log to avoid getting burned. They both turned to see a smirking Naruto. Do you really think that I would let you two leave after you two wasted so much of my time? Naruto asked rhetorically, and without waiting for them to answer, the dark-haired soon-to-be academy student made a cross sign and called the last jutsu that his older brother taught him. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Two shadow clones popped into existence next to Naruto, before nodding to the original and rushing at Taro, while the real one sped towards Takeshi.
The original Uchiha and the Kumo Chunin started a heated taijutsu battle with none of them gaining the advantage over the other, but the Konoha civilian simply wanted to play time before a patrolling Anbu squad would come and help him. Suddenly memories of one of the clones came to Naruto and made him lose focus for a second, but the second was enough for Takeshi to deliver a powerful right uppercut to his solar plexus, so the air in Naruto's lungs left the dark-haired boy. Takeshi followed it with a spinning kick to Naruto's temple. The Uchiha was able to predict his movement, but his body wasn't able to react in time and he was sent crashing into a nearby tree. Taro, let's go, Takeshi ordered, and the two started to run towards the gates of Konoha.
Damn it, I can't let them escape. I know, Naruto thought as he started doing another sequence of hand seals before exhaling a large amount of fire.
Kaiden. Dragon Fire Jutsu. The Kaiden Jutsu was flying faster than the two slightly exhausted Chunin from Kumo, so they couldn't run away from this. Takeshi made a quick set of hand seals before spitting water from his mouth to create a water wall to protect them from the jutsu. But at the moment they stopped to defend themselves, an Anbu squad jumped down next to Naruto, and after seeing two Chunin from Kumo, they rushed and surrounded the duo.
Give up and we won't harm you, an Anbu with a cat mask said and pointed a katana at the duo, who looked at each other and nodded to themselves before lifting their hands.
Two Anbu bounded them. Turtle, mouse, get them to Ibiki. Cow, inform Hokage-sama about this, the cat Anbu said, and the trio said, hi, in course before doing their assigned jobs. The Anbu herself walked towards Naruto, who at this moment was already standing and massaging his solar plexus, which still stung after the powerful uppercut. Naruto saw the cat-masked Anbu walk over to him.
What can I help you with, Anbu-san? Naruto asked. Now looking on the Anbu agent, he could see that the Anbu was a female and was about 20. She had long purple hair and a katana on her back. She wore a standard Anbu uniform. Please come with me to Hokage-sama so you can report what happened here. Uchiha-san, the purple-haired Anbu said after reminding herself on the description of the last loyal Uchiha in Konoha. Naruto nodded and Kat put a hand on his shoulder and Sunshine to Hokage's office. Council meetings room. 1 hour later, after getting report what occurred from Naruto and hearing from Ibiki about the two Chunin mission, Hiruzen has called a council meeting about what to do.
Of course, after telling the council how Naruto stopped the two, the civilian side was boasting how great and almighty their Uchiha-sama was. The shinobi council, on the other hand, while not agreeing that he is almighty, still had to agree that it is impressive for a 7-year-old kid to stop two Chunin-level shinobi.
Any suggestions what we should tell the Raigaki about this situation and what do we want? Hiruzen asked the council. After several moments of silence, one of the shinobi council, Hyuga Heishi, the clan head of the infamous Hyuga clan, stood up.
Hokage-sama, I think we should demand Raikage's brother head as they did with us all those years ago, Hiyashi said in an even tone, but everyone present could hear the rage in it, which was very rare to hear the clan head speak with emotions. Hiruzen though about this for a moment, but before he could speak, Shimura Danzo stood up.
I am sure that they would not agree since Raikage's brother is the Jinchuriki of Ichibi. Instead of his head, we could get a new powerful shinobi in our ranks.
Think about it, every of the 5 great shinobi nations, besides us, has at least one Jinchuriki at their disposal, with Kumo having 2, the Hachibi and the Nibi. My suggestion is that we demand the Jinchuriki of the Nibi or we will declare war on them. From my spies, I know that she won't be able to become a spy since she is at the age of Uchiha Naruto, Danzo said. After Hiruzen though about this, he realized that it was the first thing in years on which both he and Danzo agree on. Danzo, I think that it is a very good idea. If we will be able to get the Jinchuriki, we will make her attend to the academy to make sure that she is fully loyal to Konoha. What does the rest of you think about it? Sandame asked, looking at the council for any comments or suggestions. Of course, there must be some greedy civilian on the council. Hokage-sama, I don't know what this Jinchuriki is, but I think that for attacking our Uchiha-sama we should also get recompense of at least 1.000.000 Ryo AN. 1 Ryo equals $1, and civilian councilman said with a cheeky grin, hoping to get some of the money of this. Sarutobi sighed at the ignorance of the civilians and asked himself why such people were on the council in a ninja village. Sadao-san, I think that you don't realize that a Jinchuriki is worth more than any amount of money a ninja village can get. So no, we won't be demanding those Ryo. I think that it is all we had to talk about. I am going to write a letter to the Raikage and demand the Nibi Jinchuriki. Dismissed. Sarutobi said with a sigh. I am too old for this shit. The day has finally come. Today every kid from both civilian and ninja part of the village would enter the academy. Today, many children would start their education in the ninja arts. Every child that wants to attend to the academy is ready to leave their houses and start learning.
Well, all but one. As the sunbeams started to shine on his eyes, the dark-haired boy groaned and tried mentally to order the sun to leave him alone.
Unfortunately for him, the sun wouldn't stop and the boy had to wake up. As he opened his onyx black eyes, he slowly sat up on his bed and started to rub the sleep out of his eyes. After adjusting to the bright room, the boy looked at a watch, which was on a night table next to his bed. When he saw how late it was, his eyes widened in shock and the boy jumped out of his bed in a hurry. Damn it, I have 7 minutes until the first lesson starts. I can't be late for the first day in the academy. The boy rushed over to his wardrobe and took out his usual outfit, which consisted of a dark blue shirt and black shorts. Luckily for the boy, he had predicted that something like this would happen and he took a shower yesterday before he went to sleep. When he was already dressed, Naruto runs into his kitchen and made himself some cornflakes with milk and eat them. After he was done, he looked on a clock which was hanging on a wall in the kitchen and saw that he had 2 minutes left till the first lesson start. He quickly dressed his shinobi sandals and went outside his house. At this moment he reminded himself that the academy is on the other side of the village. I promised myself that I won't do anything unusual not to gain any more fangirls, but that is my last hope, Naruto said to himself and made a one-handed ram seal and suddenly his whole body burst in a murder of crows which flew towards the academy.
Naruto has learned this jutsu yesterday, that's one of the reasons why he overslept.
5 days ago, Naruto had his mother's eyes implanted into himself and after the surgery, he was told not to use his eyes for 4 days. Since yesterday he was allowed to use his eyes and newly obtained Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, AN. The same like Sasuke in canon, which improves all the powers of the normal Sharingan and allow the user to use the powers of Mangekyo without losing the sight. So naturally, Naruto being Naruto, after having the possibility to train again, the dark-haired boy spent the whole day learning the Crow Shunshin and Crow Clone Jutsu as well he was training his M's. In class number 192, 28 children and 1 Chunin were sitting and waiting until the last minute ends before starting the class.
As the Chunin was about to start, a murder of crows flew through an open window and suddenly took a form of a dark-haired boy who was standing in the middle of the class, next to the Chunin.
Everyone was looking at the boy with awe from his fangirls, curiosity from a few of the clan heirs, and jealousy from almost all civilian boys. The Chunin, on the other hand, was speechless as he knew only one person who could use this specific shunshin and this person wasn't welcomed in the village, so naturally after seeing that a murder of crows entered his class and started changing into someone, he was on full alert in case something should happen, but he hasn't predicted that it would be the last loyal Uchiha. Everyone was speechless in the class and Naruto who just entered didn't know why no one was talking. The silence was stopped when the door suddenly opened, revealing a young blonde-haired girl, who was wearing her hair in a ponytail which went down to her upper back. Her eyes were onyx black, the same as Naruto's. She was wearing a dark blue shirt with long sleeves, which stopped at her midriff. She also had black, tight shorts which went down to her mid-thighs. Above her shorts, she wears a dark blue skirt which went down her knees. On her feet, she wears blue ninja sandals. The Chunin scowled as he realized who this girl is. Both of you, take the 2 free places, he said, looking on 2 free places in the last row next to a window. The 2 went there and sat down. Naruto could easily hear the growls of his fangirls and the heated looks which they sent on her. When Naruto was already sitting, he remembered his to-do list. First, get to know someone new. It was the first thing which he has planned to do as he has often heard about the anti-social Uchiha club, and truthfully, he didn't wish to join it. With this in his mind, he turned to the girl and smiled slightly. Hi, my name is Uchiha Naruto. What's your name? He asked. The girl was slightly shocked that someone would willingly talk with her, but after a second thought, the boy didn't know who she was. Turning to him, she gave him a nervous smile.
Hello, my name is Yugito. Nice to meet you, the now identified Yugito said. Naruto's smile only widened.
Good. Now phase 2. Become a friend with the person, he said to himself. It wasn't common knowledge, but Naruto had never spent time or even talked with children of his own age as he always trained either with Shisui, Itachi or he spends time with his mother. Do you want to be my friend? He asked and the girls nodded with a grin. Suddenly Naruto's ninja senses kicked in as his right arm extended and caught a piece of chalk that was flying towards Yugito's face. Naruto, Yugito, pay attention to your classmates. The teacher shouted and Yugito lowered her face when an embarrassed blush crept on her face as the rest of the class started laughing. Naruto being Uchiha simply used the strongest Uchiha jutsu, the infamous eternal poker face jutsu, and ignored the rest of the class.
What were we talking about again? Naruto asked in an even tone, but inside he was grinning like a madman. Even Itachi ni would approve of my eternal poker face jutsu, he said to himself.
We were during introductions. Say your name, your hobbies and where you come from, the Chunin said with a smirk when he looked at Yugito and nodded to her. The blonde girl gulped and cleared her throat. My name is Ni Yugito. My hobbies are training, reading and eating sushi. I am coming from Ku. She said and her tone became too quiet at the end. The Chunin's smirk widened and he placed his hand next to his ear. What did you say? I haven't understood the last part, he said and looked at the girl clenched her hand in a fist. I am coming from Kumogakur, she said. There were various reactions. Shino raised an curious brow, Hinata, Kiba and many of the female civilians scowled. Rest of the class was looking at her wide-eyed, but Naruto simply smiled. So, a friend coming from Kumo. Interesting, he thought, reminding himself on the fight from last week. Sensei, what was your name again, because I forgot? Naruto asked with an embarrassed grin while scratching back of his head. The Chunin sighed. My name is Mizuki and I am one of the two sensei that were assigned to this class. The other is Yumino Iruka, but he won't come until tomorrow since he is ill. Now your turn for introduction, Mizuki said. My name is Uchiha Naruto. My hobbies are training and eating sushi and ramen. I am coming from the Uchiha clan from Konoha, he said and Mizuki nodded to the next student. As the rest of the class introduced itself, Naruto turned once again to Yugito. So, you want to get some sushi after the academy? He asked, not sure if he did it right. Yugito was shocked, the very boy that her previous village wanted to abduct was willing to go out on sushi with her. She immediately smiled and nodded. Sure, I would like to, her answer made Naruto smile. The two kids turned back to Mizuki who started writing something on the blackboard.
Today, we will talk about chakra, and so, he began his long and boring lecture. In this time, Naruto has closed his eyes and before he knew he went to sleep. When the academy ended, Yugito and Naruto started walking out of the building. When they were already outside and were about to leave the academy grounds, they both hear many voices shouting something. When they turned around they saw at least 15 girls running towards them and shouting, Naruto-kun. Reacting on his sheer instincts, the last loyal Uchiha grabbed Yugito's shoulder and made a one-handed seal. Not a moment later the two of them turned into a murder of crows which flew away, too fast for the girls to follow. The crows landed in front of a sushi bar and they changed into the two academy students. The blonde girl instantly fell on her rear as she lost her balance. After a few moments, she stood up and looked at Naruto. What was that? She asked. Naruto sighed as the two of them entered the bar. It was a crow shunshin, used by some members of the Uchiha clan, he said and the two of them took a seat. Yugito shook her head and Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. Not this, I know what a shunshin is. I was asking about the girls. Why were they running and screaming your name? She asked. Well, you can say that they were my fangirls, they are probably the reason why I never spend time with girls, the last Uchiha said. A moment later a waitress came and took their orders. Yugito thought about his words and a question came to her mind. Then why did you ask me if I want to eat with you? She asked. Naruto gave her a smile. Well, when you sat next to me, I saw that you weren't drooling about me. Besides I need some friends, the dark-haired boy said and the girl looked at him wide-eyed. You have no friends? She asked in shock. Even she as the Jinchuriki of Nibi had friends in Kumo, but here a boy who has girls that are running after him has no friends. Naruto chuckled slightly and nodded with a thoughtful expression. Indeed, I have no friends, because since I became a kid I wanted to be as strong as my older brother, he said. And Itachi ni? What's his name? Yugito asked, willing to learn anything about her new friend. His name was Uchiha Shisui, he said with a sad smile. Yugito raised an eyebrow at this. Why did you say, was, and why does his name sound like sushi? She asked. I said that his name was Shisui because he died about 2 weeks ago, like the rest of my clan, he answered. And to answer your second question, I don't know, but I remember that he loved sushi even more than I do with ramen, Naruto said and chuckled slightly at the good memories when he and Shisui would often get into fights about what is better, sushi or ramen. I'm sorry, the blonde girl said quietly, suddenly finding the floor more interesting than her new friend.
You don't have to apologize, you didn't know. Oh, seems like our food is here, Naruto said and took a pair of sticks to eat, as did Yugito with a smile on her face. They both see their hand together. Itadakimasu. They both said in unison and began to eat their ordered food. Nay, Yugito, I was wondering, when have you arrived? I mean in Konoha, Naruto asked. Yesterday at evening. That was the reason why I was late today. And why were you late? I saw that you were not seated when I entered the class, she said, and Naruto scratched back of his head with an embarrassed grin on his face. Well, you know, I was training hard yesterday and I kind of overslept, he said, and the girl giggled slightly. What's so funny? Naruto asked. Nothing, just that from what I heard everything you do is training, training, and training. Don't you do other things? She asked, and the dark-haired boy shook his head instantly. She sighed. So, don't you need some sparring partner? She asked, and the Uchiha smirked. Well, if you want you can come by tomorrow after the academy and we can have a friendly spar, since from what I can see you have already trained. What do you say? He offered. Yugito blushed slightly at the comment about her training since almost no one else had ever noticed it. She nodded with a smirk. Just don't come crying when I kick your butt, she said, and took out enough money to pay, but was stopped by Naruto. Don't worry, I can pay, he said, and after she nodded with a smile, the dark-haired boy paid and the two of them left the bar. When they were outside, Yugito turned to him. I should be going. Bye, Naruto-kun, she said with a faint blush as she started to run down the busy street, leaving a slightly blushing Naruto alone. It has been 5 years since the Ninja Academy began. 5 long, boring years for Naruto. But today it all would change. Today he, together with his best friend Yugito, would take the Genin exams and become a full-fledged ninja of the leaf. For the last 5 years, the two soon-to-be Genin were meeting together and training in the ninja arts. It also gave birth to their friendly rivalry. The two has created a strong bond between each other since they both carried a burden in which they had no choice. Yes, both of them does already know about their biju sealed inside of them. It happened when Yugito asked Naruto about it during one of their sparring sessions, since she was told about it when she was 4 in Kumo. The dark-haired boy was very surprised by how she knew about it when she told him that Nibi had told her. Besides all of this, the only thing worth noting was that both Naruto and Yugito started to learn kenjutsu, Naruto with a katana used by his father and Yugito using a ninjutsu. Now we can find Naruto in his new outfit, consisting of a black shirt with long sleeves, black shinobi pants with bandages around his ankles. He also has tied a white utility belt around his waist on which he has his katana next to his left hip, but today he has left it home since he won't need it. On the back of his belt, he has 2 pouches for kunai and shuriken. He also wears a white, high-collared, haori with long sleeves, which goes down to the middle of his shins. The haori has an Uchiha fan on the back and the sleeves are black. He leaves the haori open to allow the handle of his katana being seen. To end his new outfit he also wears black shinobi sandals. The handle of katana is wrapped in a cyber grape cord. The tsuba of katana is in golden color and the blade itself is made of pure white metal, which allows the user to flow chakra through it. The sheath is black with the sago being in cyber grape as well. Yugito has also changed her wardrobe, but only slightly. She now, instead of a skirt, wears long black shibobi pants with matching ninja sandals. Her ninjutsu is normally strapped to the left side of the back of her shoulder. She is well left her ninjutsu home today. Her ninjutsu has a dark blue handle with matching sheath. The blade, on the other hand, is pitch black and is also able to flow chakra. The two of them have also grown over the 5 years. Naruto stood now 4 feet 9 inches 151 m, and weights about 43 kilograms since he has built up muscle through those years. Yugito, on the other hand, was a little shorter than Naruto as she stood 4 feet 8 inches 148 m, and weights about 37 kilograms. The two of them were now sitting at their normal places on which they have sitting since the beginning of the academy. The two soon-to-be genin talked about their expectations about the teams until Iruka and Mizuki entered the class with a stack of papers and started talking about the exams. After about 5 minutes, Mizuki started to give out the papers, which were the first part of the genin exams. The class was given 1 hour to answer the questions, which in Naruto's and Yugito's opinion were very easy since both of them finished the exam in about 15 minutes. After 1 hour, Mizuki collected the exams and gave them to Iruka, who went to grade them while Mizuki took the class outside for their shuriken and taijutsu exam. In the shurikenjutsu part, everybody was given 5 kunai and 5 shuriken and were told to throw at a target. Naruto had no problem with this exam since he was taught how to throw and aim with weapons since he was a kid, so he aced in this part. Yugito was able to hit the bullseye with 4 kunai and all shuriken. After everyone was finished with their shuriken, they had a taijutsu tournament, one for girls and one for boys. Here again, Naruto had no real competition. The only one who managed to last more than 15 seconds was Kiba, since his clan taught him taijutsu since he entered the academy. In the girls' tournament, Yugito defeated every girl, since none of them spend any of their free time training and instead were dieting. The only girl who actually was a challenge was Hinata, since her clan specialized in taijutsu, but Yugito used the experience she got while sparring with Naruto and her superior speed to defeat the Hyuga heiress. After the two tournaments were done, the two winners fought. Yugito was able to last 4 minutes with Naruto while he used his Sharingan, since if he didn't the fight would take much longer, but even when he was using his dojutsu, the blonde-haired girl was able to land a few solid hits. During those two tournaments, Mizuki was making notes and was rating their performance. After the second part of the genin exams was over, the class head back to the class in which they found Iruka with their exams already graded, but the scarred Chunin wouldn't tell them about their scores. When everyone was on their seats, Mizuki and Iruka went into a second room in which the last part of the exam took place. In the ninjutsu part, everyone had to do the 3 academy jutsu: the substitution, transformation, and clone jutsu. If anyone was unable to do even one of them, they were failing the exam immediately. As the two teachers started to call some civilian students in. After about 20 minutes, Yugito was called in. As she stood up and walked over the door which led to the other room, she looked back to Naruto, who gave her a grin and nodded to her before she nodded with her own smile and entered the other room. As Yugito walked in, she was asked by Iruka to do the 3 basic jutsu. After making the needed hand seals, she used transformation jutsu to change into Sandaime Hokage, who often visited her to make sure that she was living a good life and had everything she needed. After getting a nod from Iruka, she cancelled the jutsu and used substitution with a third chair. When she was asked to do a clone jutsu, she crossed her fingers in a cross sign and made a shadow clone, since she learned from Sarutobi that if she could do a variation of the clone jutsu she would still pass. Iruka was surprised that she was able to use a Jonin rank jutsu, but Yugito explained to him that she had more chakra than a Chunin. After the scarred Chunin congratulated her, she took her forehead protector, which she then placed on a dark blue cloth and tied it on her forehead. As she walked out of the room, Mizuki asked her to call Naruto in, since he was next on the list. When Naruto walked in the room, he had to use substitution immediately since Iruka threw a wooden kunai at him. A moment before using the substitution, the first thing that he thought about was Mizuki, and so he replaced himself with the Chunin, who, not knowing what happened, got hit in the torso by the wooden kunai. After Naruto apologized and Iruka explained that he wanted to see if Naruto's shinobi senses were as good as the other said, the dark-haired boy was said to use the transformation, which he used to transform into Shisui. After explaining to the two Chunin who he cancelled the technique. When this was done, he made a hand seal and created a crow clone, surprising the two teachers, since they heard that only Itachi was able to use this jutsu. This technique was left for him in the Uchiha jutsu vault, from which he together with Yugito learned a few jutsu. When this was done, he took a hitaiate and placed it on a white cloth to match his haori and left the room. After several more students went into the room, some not coming back with a forehead protector, the two Chunin came back to the class and congratulated them. After a short speech from Iruka, the scarred Chunin told the fresh genin class to come back here tomorrow for their team placement. After hearing this, the class left the academy, while Naruto and Yugito had to run away from the Uchiha fan club. When the two of them lost the horde of fangirls, they went to celebrate with some sushi. When the class was empty, Iruka collected the scores for the exams and went towards the Hokage tower to give a report to the Sandaime. Evening, Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen read the report and the scores of each and every student to make the best teams that would cooperate well together. But there was one problem. The problem was that only 29 students passed the exams, which means that Hiruzen would have to make a 2-cell team.
The question now: who would be on it? It was a usual tradition that the dead last was paired with the Kunoichi of the year and the Rookie of the year, but both Naruto and Yugito, who were the Kunoichi and Rookie of the year, were strong enough to have one person missing on their team. With this in his head, Hiruzen continued to make the teams and assign them a sensei who would be able to help them. Next day, Ninja Academy. On the next morning, everyone was waiting in anticipation who they would be teamed with. People like Choji and Shikamaru were hoping to get on one team. Of course, all the fangirls were hoping to be placed with Naruto on the same team, but the dark-haired boy was hoping that he would be teamed up with Yugito and everyone but not a fangirl. When Iruka entered the class, everyone quiets down and waited for the Chunin to start. No one even noted that Mizuki was missing. After Iruka gave them all his little speech about how proud he is, he started to read out the teams. After reading the first 6 teams, who no one paid attention to, Iruka went on. Due to the fact that only 29 students passed, Hokage-sama has placed the Rookie of the Year and the Kunoichi of the Year together on a 2-cell team. So, Team 7 will be consisting of Uchiha Naruto together with Ni Yugito under Hitaki Kakashi. Team 8, which will be consisting of the second place for the Rookie and the Kunoichi of the Year together with the dead last will be Inuzuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata and Aburame Shino under Yuhi Kurenai. Since Team 9 is still active, we will move to the next team which will be Team 10 made from Yamanaka Ino with Nara Shikamaru and Akamichi Choji under Sarutobi Isuma. Those are teams for this year, AN. Sakura being on some no-name team, your Jonin sensei will come here and say what to do, so wait here for them, Iruka said, and while all of the fangirls, especially Ino and Sakura who were shouting and demanding to be placed on Team 7, the scarred Chunin left the room. For the next 3 hours, Naruto and Yugito were sitting in the class and talking about their new sensei, who was late. Over the last 3 hours, the rest of the teams had already met their Jonin sensei and the two were now the last left here. After the next 30 minutes, the door opened, showing a silver-haired Jonin who was reading an orange book. He looked at the two with a bored expression and sighed. "Meet me at the room in 5 minutes, he said and used Shunshin. Naruto looked over to Yugito who shrugged with her shoulders and the two used their own version's Shunshin, in which Naruto changed into a murder of crows and Yugito disappeared in blue flames, to appear on the roof, shocking Kakashi who didn't expect these two to be able to use any other jutsu than the academic. Well, he is called a genius and from the reports, she spends a long time with his training so she must be able to do something as well. Maybe this won't be so bad after all, he thought. Alright, now that you are here, we can begin with introductions. I will begin. My name is Hitaki Kakashi. I have many likes and some dislikes. My hobbies are interesting and my dream for future is hard to achieve. Your turn, Blondie, the one-eyed ninja said with an eye smile when he saw Yugito's eyebrow twitch. My name is Ni Yugito. My likes are sushi and training, my dislikes are people who hate me for being from Kumo, perverts, and males who think that women are weaker than men. My hobbies are spending time with Naruto-kun and training. My dream for the future is to become the most powerful kunoichi in this village to show that women can be stronger than men, she said. Kakashi nodded and turned to Naruto. Your turn, Byakuya, he said. Naruto rose an eyebrow at this. You know, Kuchiki Byakuya, from the Bleach manga. Your Haori reminds me of him, Kakashi said with another eye smile while Yugito and Naruto's sweat dropped. The dark-haired boy cleared his throat. My name is Uchiha Naruto and my likes are ramen, sushi, and training. My dislikes are people who hate Yugito-chan because she is from Kumo and people who treat me like a prince because I am coming from the Uchiha clan. My hobbies are training and spending time with Yugito-chan. My dream for the future is to restore the Uchiha clan and to get the pride of my clan back, Naruto said. The silver-haired Jonin looked at his team with some respect, since Genin these times had no real goal and those two had some really good ambitions. Alright, with the introductions done, I can tell you about the exam that you will take tomorrow, Kakashi said, shocking those two, but none of them commented. I will tell you about it tomorrow. Meet me at 6 at Training Ground 7. Yane, he said with an eye smile while waving his hand and vanished in a poof of smoke, leaving these two alone. The last Uchiha turned to his best friend. So, ramen or sushi today? He asked with a grin. The blonde-haired girl also grinned. Sushi, of course. With this, the two of them went to their favorite sushi bar. Naruto and Yugito were both waiting for Kakashi at Training Grounds 7. They have been sitting here for about 3 hours and the one-eyed Jonin hasn't appeared yet. After another 10 boring minutes, a smoke erupted in the middle of the training ground and after it cleared, the two Genin could see Kakashi waving at them while reading his Icha book. The lazy Jonin walked over to them and greeted the duo. Good morning, you two. I am sorry that I am late, but you know, a black cat crossed my road so I had to choose the long way around, he said with his eye smile. The two of them face-palmed and Naruto sighed. So what's about the test, sensei? He asked and Kakashi nodded. Exactly, you two are not Genin yet. First, you must pass my exam. The exam is pretty easy. Your goal is to take those 2 bells from me before noon, he said as he took out 2 bells and tied them to his left hip. Alright, if you want to pass, come at me with the intent to kill. Ready, set, go. He stated and the 2 members of Team 7 vanished. Well, they surely are good hiding. Let's wait and see what they are gonna do, he said to himself. In a nearby bush, Naruto and Yugito were observing as Kakashi started to walk around the training grounds while still reading his book. After 2 minutes, the duo formed a tactic and rushed into action. As Kakashi walked around, he suddenly had to jump away as a dozen of shuriken hit his previous spot. Before he could anything, he had to drop his book and take out two kunai to block two Yugitos with her ninjutsu. The three of them stood in stalemate and tried to overpower the other. As Kakashi was about to overpower Yugito, he had to use Kamawari as Naruto suddenly appeared behind him with his katana in a horizontal slash, which cut cleanly through the log he replaced himself with. A few moments later, Kakashi walked out of the nearby bushes. "So you two want a kenjutsu fight?" he asked and sighed. He took out a scroll from his flak jacket and unsealed a chikudo which he used when he was in Anbu. When he took the chikudo, he took a fighting stance and waited for the two genin to attack. After several moments, Yugito and her shadow clone rushed towards the Jonin and the three engaged in a fast kenjutsu battle in which Kakashi found himself on the defensive. After sidestepping a vertical slash from the shadow clone, Kakashi thrust his chikudo into the clone's chest, making it disappear. Thanks to his senses which he honed for years, the silver-haired ninja was able to duck under another horizontal slash from Naruto, who again got behind him. While Kakashi was still crouching, Yugito made again a vertical slash, but fortunately for the Jonin, he was able to roll out of the way. Not wanting to give his sensei time to change his tactic, Naruto activated his Sharingan and disappeared. After seeing that the dark-haired boy disappeared, Yugito understood that he wanted to try the plan B, and she jumped into bushes to hide. Suddenly, shocking Kakashi, Naruto appeared on his left already in the middle of a diagonal slash aimed for Kakashi's arm. The Jonin was able to move his body enough to avoid having his arm cut off, but the Uchiha was still able to leave a cut on his shoulder. Without another word, Naruto disappeared again to suddenly materialize in front of Kakashi and thrust with his katana at the silver-haired man's torso, but he was able to parry the attack this time and move the Uchiha's sword away, making an opening in his guard. Using the best moment to attack, Kakashi delivered a spin kick to the teenager's torso which sends him away 4 meters away. Using the momentary break to his advantage, the silver-haired Jonin lifted his forehead protector up, revelating his fully matured Sharingan. "A genin being able to push me to use my Sharingan," he sighed. "Kids these days," he said while shaking his head and prepared himself for the dark-haired boy who was already in his kenjutsu stance. As Naruto disappeared again, Kakashi was able to follow with his movement thanks to his dojutsu. So he is using flash step. "I would never think that a genin would be able to learn such technique," Kakashi said to himself with raising respect for the Uchiha. Naruto suddenly appeared behind him with his katana already in the middle of thrust, but now that Kakashi knew already what technique the genin was using, the silver-haired Jonin was able to move his head to the side, avoiding getting impaled by the katana. Using his chikudo, Kakashi launched a diagonal slash at the torso of Naruto, who was able to deflect the attack and launch his own horizontal slash at Kakashi's waist. The Jonin, being a veteran, was able to jump away and avoid getting cut in two. The two looked at each other for several seconds and then rushed at each other, Kakashi using his Jonin speed and Naruto using his flash step. Kakashi and Naruto traded blows with their swords for several minutes, neither gaining the upper hand. Kakashi may be a Jonin, but kenjutsu was not his forte, and while Naruto had a natural talent for this ninja art, he was inexperienced, unlike Kakashi. The two finally got into a stalemate, where Kakashi was slowly starting to overpower Naruto with his sheer strength. When Naruto saw that he would lose in a moment, he jumped back, as did Kakashi. When Naruto landed on the ground, he sheathed his katana in a swift motion and started going through a set of hand seals at a rapid pace. Recognizing which jutsu Naruto will use, the silver-haired ninja started doing the same set of hand seals. Both of them ended at the same time and took a deep breath before letting the air out. Kaden. Great Fireball Jutsu. The two fire techniques clashed against each other for dominance, but in the end, they just cancelled. When the fireballs disappeared, Kakashi was able to see Naruto ending another set of hand seals, but before he could do anything he heard a voice behind him. Sweden. Water Colliding Wave Jutsu. When the silver-haired Jonin turned around, he could see Yugito holding a hand seal and a large mass of water flying towards him. Kakashi had no time to either dodge or replace himself with something, and the water hit him head-on. Water started flying towards Naruto, who used his own jutsu. Raiden. Thunder Bullet. Naruto held his right palm open, facing the water, and a ball of lightning flew out of it and mixed with the water, shocking the silver-haired shinobi. Kakashi flew with the current of water until he hit a tree with his pack and stopped as the water dispersed. The Jonin panted as he stood up and flexed with his muscles, which were sore from the hit. Now, with Kakashi being slower, thanks to being shocked by his Raiden jutsu, Naruto and Yugito rushed towards Kakashi to engage him in a taijutsu battle. When the two appeared next to the Jonin, who was already prepared for them, they started attacking him with their perfect teamwork, which they worked for the past 5 years. After Kakashi sidestepped Naruto's jab aimed for his face, he had to duck under Yugito's spinning kick, but while he was still crouching, Naruto delivered a powerful knee to his face which made him fly 2 meters back, but before he could hit the ground, Yugito was already under him and delivered a rising kick to his spine, which sent him flying in midair, in which he had to put an X guard to protect himself from Naruto's and his clone's dropkick aimed for his torso. While he was falling down, he managed to maneuver in the air to land on his hand and then made a backflip to gain some distance, but instantly had to shift his head back to avoid getting hit by Naruto hook to his face. The Jonin wanted to counter with a roundhouse kick, but when he raised his right leg, Yugito was suddenly behind him and launched a sidekick to his face, which he blocked, but the attack still managed to push him back. Not wanting to give their sensei time to rest, Naruto made a set of hand seals and created another thunderbullet which made Kakashi jump away to not get hit. Naruto turned to Yugito, who nodded, and the blonde-haired girl used Shunshin to appear 7 meters behind Kakashi, with her ninjutsu already drawn. Naruto also unsheathed his katana and stood in front of Kakashi, who had to draw 2 kunai since he has dropped his Chikudo when he was hit with Yugito's water technique. Without any word, Naruto rushed towards Kakashi, who concentrated his Sharingan on the Uchiha. About 3 meters in front of Kakashi, Naruto jumped back, confusing the Jonin, who turned around to not being able to see Yugito. When he looked over to Naruto, his eyes widened when he saw Yugito standing next to Naruto with the 2 bells in her hand. How? Was the only thing that the silver-haired ninja could ask, while he lowered his Hite aid to cover his Sharingan. The 2 genin grinned. While you used your Sharingan to follow my moves, you dropped your guard for a moment on Yugito-chan's side. At this moment she used her flash step and grabbed the bells. I was merely a decoy in the last attack, Naruto explained with a grin, confusing the Jonin even more. I thought that only people with a fully matured Sharingan are able to perform this technique. Even I with my own Sharingan can use it only 2 times before everything blends together, Kakashi said, and Yugito nodded. Indeed, I can't use flash step like Naruto-kun, because I lack the dojutsu, but after getting used to it for hours, I am able to use the technique, but only if I am moving in a straight line, so it's a double-edged sword, since I can dodge while using it, the blonde-haired girl explained, making Kakashi nod with a thoughtful expression. Alright. Congratulations on passing. From today on we are Team 7. Meet me here tomorrow at 8 for our first training session in a mission. I will be going now to report your success to Hokage-sama. Yane, he said with an eye smile and a wave of as he puffed out of training grounds, leaving the 2 alone again. Well, that was interesting, Yugito said with a sigh as she and the Uchiha sheathed their swords and started to walk towards the village. At least it was a good test to see at what level the both of us currently are, Naruto said as he flexed his right arm, which was sore from blocking some of the Kakashi's punches. Yugito huffed at this. Sure, it wasn't like you were fighting while I was waiting to ambush him, she said while she shook her head with a small smile at the embarrassed grin that Naruto gave her. Sorry, Yugito-chan. I promise that next time I will be the one to wait, while you can fight, the dark-haired boy said, while the blonde smirked. Of course you will, you almost lost while you were fighting with sensei, she said with a smirk when she saw how Naruto's eyes widened in shock. Me? It was you who almost didn't catch the bless while using the flash step. I was able to see how you almost passed by Kakashi-sensei, he said with a grin as Uchiha turned her head away with an embarrassed blush on her cheeks. It doesn't matter. Come, I am hungry, she said as she started to walk a bit faster. Where are we eating today? The dark-haired boy asked as he caught up with her. Let's go to Ichiraku's today and you are paying, she said with a grin. What? I have been paying for the last 3 days, Naruto stated. You won't pay for me today, Naruto-kun? She asked with a playful pout, while she put her index finger on her chin and used the puppy eyes jutsu, making Naruto look away with a blush. Alright, he said, and the blonde-haired girl beamed. Great, let's go, she said as she used her fire shunshin to disappear, making Naruto sigh and do the same but with crows instead of fire. It has been 2 long months for the new form Team 7's genin. Sure, the 2 of them were not expecting to do any assassination missions, but they hoped to at least deal with some bandits. Of course, they were wrong. Past the last 2 months, they had been doing random chores, also known as D-ranked missions, from shopping to catching daimyo wife's cat called Tora. While catching the demon cat, even Naruto, who was using Uchiha Itachi's eternal poker face jutsu, which gives the user full control over their emotions, wanted to kill the cat and say that it died when it runs into some bandits. Unfortunately for the black-haired boy, Kakashi didn't approve killing animals even if they're this cat, so Naruto instead used a powerful genjutsu that would allow him to control the cat with a simple command. After this day, Daimyo's wife only requested Team 7 to bring her cat back since they did it the fastest in the whole history of this mission. Besides doing D-rank missions, Kakashi made the 2 of them train their teamwork, even it was almost perfect. Almost. Kakashi said to them that if their teamwork will be even a bit better, they will be able to fight better opponents together and win with fewer injuries. But after a month, the copycat ninja decided that it was a good time to start their physical and taijutsu training. Now after 2 months of doing missions and training, Team 7 was standing in front of Hokage, who had tons of paperwork on his table. Team 7 reporting for a mission. Hokage-sama, Kakashi said with a respectful bow to the leader of the village, who smiled seeing probably the strongest genin team of Konoha. Ah, Kakashi-kun, Naruto-kun, Yugito-chan. It's good to see you, Hokage said with a warm smile. So a mission again? Well, we have a request to help with painting fences and cleaning the cemetery or... Hokage-sama, if I may, Kakashi asked and his superior nodded. I think that my team is ready for a C-ranked mission already, he said with an eye smile. Hiruzen thought about it for a moment but nodded with a smile. Alright then, I will give you a C-ranked mission, he said and took out a folder labeled C-rank. He started to read through several pages and then took out a scroll from his desk and tossed it to Kakashi, who caught it. Your mission will be to escort a bridge builder to the land of seas and protect him until he finishes construction of a bridge that will connect the land to the mainland. Send him in, Hiruzen said, and several moments later the door opened revealing an older man who was holding a bottle of sake. The man looked at the three for a moment before snorting. I have paid for ninjas, not some brats, the man said and swung his bottle, letting some droplets of the alcohol to fall on the ground of the office. There were various reactions from the 4 ninjas. Kakashi was reading his book, not paying attention to the older man. Hiruzen was calmly observing the 2 genin. Naruto had a mask of indifference and lastly, Yugito was seething. Not only he said that because of her being young she was not a ninja, but saying that, he said that she was weak, which was a blow to her pride, seeing an old, drunken man saying that you were weak. Wanting to show the bridge builder that she was strong, she took out her ninjutsu and used flash step to get behind the old man. She placed her blade at the man's throat and smirked. Still thinking that we are not strong enough to protect you? She asked and Tazuna shook his head. Her smirk got wider and she sheathed her weapon and walked calmly to Naruto, who was smirking slightly and shaking his head. All 3 of the male ninja in the room has exactly the same though. I knew she would do something like this. Sarutobi cleared his throat, getting the attention of the 4 persons in his office. You are dismissed and good luck on your mission, Hiruzen said with a smile. Alright, we will meet at the East Gate in 1 hour. Go and prepare for at least 1 month trip, he said and disappeared in a puff of smoke to get ready for the mission. After bowing the 2 genin followed suit, leaving Tazuna and Hiruzen in the office alone. 1 hour later, East Gate. The 3 members of Team 7 together with Tazuna were standing in front of the gate. Kakashi was asking his genin about what they brought with them to make sure that they have all they need. After another 5 minutes of making sure that they didn't forget anything, the 4-man group walked out of the village. After about half hour Yugito was getting bored and she sighed in frustration. Gah. I thought that our first C-rank mission will be something interesting, not wandering around countries. I could be training instead, she said as she started to play with her kunai. Yugito, you should know that there won't be too much action on a simply C-ranked mission. You should keep your cool more like Naruto, Kakashi lectured and pointed to Naruto, who was walking with his left hand resting against the handle of his katana. Yeah, sure, she said with a huff. I know exactly what he is, only pretending to be calm but inside he is as bored as myself. She started with a smirk when she saw Naruto's right eye to twitch slightly. How long will it take for us to make it the land of waves, Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked as he kept his eyes in front of him trying to find anything suspicious. The one-eyed ninja hummed for a moment. If we continue going at this pace we will be there in about 3 days, 2 if we will have a boat to get us into the country, he said and the Uchiha nodded. After this question, a silence followed, but not for too long as the group noticed a puddle of water on the way. Kakashi-sensei, I think we are far enough from the village to some bandits to attack. You should get the rear and I can get on the front while Yugito-chan will be on Tazuna's right, Naruto stated as the group neared the puddle. Kakashi nodded and the group took the formation. As Team 7 together with Tazuna passed the puddle, it vanished revealing 2 men in black cloaks. The demon brothers of the mist, Gozu and Maizu. After only a glance on their faces Naruto already knew who they were, so he didn't worry about their attack on Kakashi since he knew that they were only B-ranked missing ninjas and when they left the village they were Chunin level together thanks to their great teamwork, but alone they were at most a high genin level. While Naruto was thinking about the possible threat that they could become, Yugito was thinking about the best way to defeat the 2 shinobi. The 2 ex-Kiri ninjas closed on Kakashi and before the lazy Jonin could react they wrapped him in a chain that was connecting the 2 together. When the chain was around him, the 2 squeezed it as much as they could, cutting Kakashi into pieces. Yugito and Naruto's eyes widened, but soon they saw that it was only wood that fell on the ground. Now knowing that their sensei was alive, The two Gainin stood in front of Tazuna. Yugito took out her ninjutsu and took a fighting stance while Naruto merely rested his left hand on the handle of his katana. "What are you after?" Naruto asked in a bored voice, which made the demon brothers slightly mad that a brat like him was not afraid of them. Maizu, being the one to always speak, smirked and answered the Uchiha's question. "We are here after the bridge builder. Give him to us and your death will be fast and painless," he said. Naruto turned to Yugito and nodded. "I see, that was all I needed to know. You are no longer of use to me," he said and pushed his katana slightly out of the sheath. "Yugito-chan, I will take the talker, don't play with them too long, we have a mission to accomplish," he said and reached for his blade with his right hand. Without another word, both genin disappeared, shocking both demon brothers and Tazuna. Yugito suddenly appeared next to Gozu with her blade in middle swing, but the missing nin was able to block it with his metal gauntlet. Yugito made a horizontal slash with her blade, but this time Gozu ducked under the attack and tried a leg sweep, but Yugito was able to easily predict it and jumped over the attack. When she landed on the ground, Gozu was making a set of hand seals. Suiten. Water bullet jutsu. He spat out a large blob of water that flew towards the young kunoichi, who made her own hand seals and used the same jutsu to block the water attack. Not wanting to give Gozu time for another jutsu, she used flash step to get behind the missing nin and delivered a powerful roundhouse kick to the back of his head, knocking him out. Many people who knew Naruto would think that he would enjoy a fight as almost every Uchiha did, and they would be right, but they would be wrong that he enjoys every battle. He does not like a battle when his opponent is not worth his time. Don't get him wrong, it is not arrogance but confidence. He knows exactly where his limits are, and that's the reason why he has the right to tell someone that he is not worth his time. Of course, a missing nin would not listen to him and would try to win. When Naruto and Yugito separated, Naruto appeared in front of Maizu with his katana on the missing nin's shoulder, ready to cut his head clean of. "Give up, you are no match for me," Naruto said in a bored tone while Maizu was seething that a brat like Naruto would tell him what to do. Instead than to listen, he jumped back and took out a kunai in his free hand and awaited Naruto. "Like hell, I will give up to a snot-nosed brat," he shouted. Naruto, on the other hand, shook his head. "Very well, if you want to die, here you go," he said and suddenly appeared behind Maizu while sheathing his katana. When the guard of the sword made a contact with the sheath and made a click, two cuts appeared on the ex-Kiri nin's body. One on his torso, going from his right hip to his left shoulder, and the other on his back, going from his left shoulder to his right hip. As blood started to pour off the now dead Maizu, the body fell with an audible thud. A moment later Yugito ended her battle and walked over to her best friend, who was already talking with Kakashi about what they found out. "So what are going to do now, sensei?" she asked. Kakashi thought about this for a moment. "Well, it will be now a B-ranked bordering on an A-ranked mission, so it is up to you if you guys think that you can handle that," he said looking at his two genin. Naruto shrugged. "I can go. What about you, Yugito-chan?" he asked looking at his best friend who was deep in thoughts. After a few more moments she nodded with a determined smirk. "Of course I will take it. Do you really think that I would allow you to go yourself? Who would save you if you would get into trouble?" she said, and Naruto chuckled. "Well, that's great, but I think that we should ask Tazuna about the real mission, don't you think?" Kakashi asked as the three ninjas turned completely serious and looked at Tazuna, who was sweating bullets. After some explanations from Tazuna why he lied about the mission and the story of the wave and the real reason why the bridge is built, the group of four continued their mission. After a few more hours, Kakashi decided to spend the night in the forest. "All right, Yugito, I want you to take care of the tents. Naruto, you will go and bring us something to eat. Meanwhile, I will prepare the fire and set up some traps around the area," Kakashi ordered, and the three ninjas went to do their jobs. When Naruto disappeared into the forest, Tazuna walked over to Yugito. "Mind if I ask a question?" Tazuna asked the blonde, who nodded. I was wondering what happened with the other kid earlier. I mean, he killed a guy and he looked like he didn't care about it. Besides, in an instant his eyes and voice went to cold and emotionless," he asked, making Yugito sigh. "What you saw in the battle was the second Naruto-kun," she answered. "What do you mean with second Naruto?" asked a confused Tazuna. "What I mean is that Naruto-kun is goofy, kind and caring, but there is another side of him which we both call Ninja Naruto. He only goes into the state while fighting an enemy who intends to kill. When he is in the state he becomes cold and emotionless. He created the second him to help himself with concentrating on the battle and to bear with killing," Yugito said, making Tazuna nod. The rest of the evening went uneventful, but everyone was still on high alert. On the next morning, after they ate breakfast and packed, they continued their way to the land of waves. Several hours of travel later, they arrived at a shore at which a boat was waiting. Team 7 together with Tazuna and a person who was steering the small boat, swim towards the land of waves. After another 2 boring and uneventful hours, they docked at land. The escort team continued on their way towards their destination until they walked into the forest, where a dense mist was surrounding the area. Say, Tazuna, is mist always this thick in this area? Kakashi asked while his single eye was looking everywhere around his team to find any signs of the enemy. Well, we often have mist around but not this dense. Why do you ask? The bridge builder answered while Kakashi looked over to his 2 students seeing if they caught on. Of course, they would, he said to himself after seeing that both Naruto and Yugito looked at him and nodded slightly. Suddenly a rustling was heard in a bush on their left. Reacting on instincts, Yugito pulled out 2 shuriken and threw them with deathly accuracy to where the group heard something. When Kakashi heard that his student's weapon cut into something, he took out a kunai and slowly walked over to the bush and uncovered it, revealing killed a white-furred rabbit. Everyone was having different thoughts about what just occurred. Ah, stupid Yugito. I just got scared by a rabbit and then I killed it, the blonde thought, embarrassed. Yugito-chan reacted so fast, while I wasn't even close to taking out my kunai. Damn, my reflexes are getting slow without my and Yugito-chan's sparring sessions. Naruto berated himself while gripping the handle of his katana tightly with his left hand. Calm down, calm down. That's just a rabbit, not an assassin. That's just a rabbit, not an assassin, Tazuna reassured himself while taking deep breaths. A white-furred rabbit at this time of year? Wait, Kakashi thought, and his single visible eye widened as he heard a cutting sound behind his team. Everybody down, he shouted. Without any question, Yugito and Naruto followed his orders and fall to the ground, while Kakashi pulled Tazuna down with himself. A moment later a gigantic sword flew above all of their heads and impaled into a distant tree. A moment later a tall man landed on the blade and looked over his shoulder on Team 7 and Tazuna. Well. If this isn't Kakashi of the Sharingan. How exciting. Now, we are both busy men, Kakashi, so hand over bridge builder and none of you will have to die, said the man while the silver-haired man glared at the newcomer. Momochi Zabuza, demon of the mist. An ranked missing nin from Kiri. Naruto. Yugito, protect Tazuna. This guy is in another league than the other 2. I will take care of him myself, the Konoha Jonin said as he lifted his forehead protector up, revealing a fully matured Sharingan. Oh, so I have the chance to see the Sharingan so soon? I feel honored, Kakashi, Zabuza said as he took his sword and jumped over to the nearby lake. When he landed he placed his left hand in a one-handed ram sign in front of his chest and his right did the same seal but was placed over his head. Hidden Mist Jutsu. Suddenly the mist got even thicker, making it impossible to see further than 2 meters in front of you. At the moment the mist condensed, Naruto and Yugito jumped in a defensive position, Naruto being in front of Tazuna and Yugito behind the bridge builder. Both genin unsheathed their weapons and took a defensive stance while looking around to find their attacker. Suddenly the area was flooded with a killer intent coming from Zabuza, but to his shock, only Tazuna was affected as he started to shake in fear. They may be better than I thought, the missing ninja said to himself as he prepared for his next move which would end this battle in an instant. Kakashi-sensei, any orders? Asked Naruto as he has already his Sharingan active, scanning the surrounding. Kakashi was quiet for a moment until he looked over his shoulder to his 2 genin with an eye smile. Don't worry, I will take care of this. I won't let my comrades die, the silver-haired Jonin said, causing Naruto and Yugito to smile slightly while Tazuna looked relieved. All of this vanished when they heard a voice. I wouldn't be so sure. Zabuza roared as he suddenly appeared next to Tazuna with his sword already in a diagonal swing. Thanks to his Sharingan, Naruto was able to see that Zabuza used Flash Step to get there. His dojutsu also enabled Naruto to react in time as he used Flash Step himself and appeared in front of Tazuna, both of his hands on the hilt of his sword, which blocked the giant blade of the ex-Kiri ninja. Using the same technique as the other 2, Kakashi suddenly materialized behind Zabuza with a kunai in his right hand in a reverse grip. The silver-haired Jonin placed the weapon against the missing nin's throat. It's over, he said and cut the throat, but to his shock, Zabuza turned into water. Water clone. He realized just in time to be cut in half by another Zabuza who was behind him. But to Zabuza's shock, Kakashi turned into the water like he himself a moment ago, while the real one-eyed ninja appeared once more behind Zabuza with his kunai once again pointed at the brown-haired man's throat. I see, so even in the mist you were able to copy my jutsu and use it against me. But there is one problem, Kakashi, I expected this. Zabuza showed and turned into the water while another one appeared to Kakashi's right with his blade in a horizontal slash. Using the power of the Uchiha, the silver-haired Jonin was able to predict the attack and ducked under it, but he wasn't fast enough to react in time when Zabuza's foot kicked him in the chin and sent him into the nearby lake. Not wanting to lose his advantage, Zabuza rushed over to the water, and at the same moment Kakashi swam out of the water. Zabuza made several hand seals and extended his left hand with an open palm. Sweden. Water prison jutsu. Suddenly a ball of dense water surrounded Kakashi, entrapping him in the prison made of water enhanced with chakra, causing the water to be harder than steel. The ball of water was connected to Zabuza's left palm. Kakashi looked with wide eyes as Zabuza created a water clone of himself and ordered it to deal with his two genin and to kill the bridge builder. Run! Run away! Save the bridge builder! Kakashi shouted as loud as he could, but his voice was muffled by the water. Before the remaining members of Team 7 could do anything, Zabuza's clone appeared in front of them, kicking stunned Naruto into the chest and trying to punch Yugito, who was able to sidestep and jump back to Naruto and Tazuna. Shadow Clone Jutsu. The Uchiha created 4 clones who encircled the bridge builder and draw their katana. Naruto nodded to Yugito and made several hand signs which they both learned to speak without alarming their enemies or giving them their tactic. The blonde-haired girl nodded and sheathed her ninjutsu and made several hand seals. Kaden. Great Fireball Jutsu. She exhaled a large orb of fire which flew towards the clone, who jumped to his right to avoid getting burned, but thanks to his dojutsu, Naruto was able to predict his movement and used Flash Step to get near the clone and made a horizontal slash to the clone's torso. The Zabuza used his large sword to block the attack, but the moment he moved his sword, his left side was unguarded and Yugito used it to attack as she appeared on Zabuza's left and thrust her sword at his left lung. Yugito was a millimeter to destroy the clone, but Zabuza, being an experienced swordsman, jumped back to avoid getting dispelled. The same moment he landed, he saw that Naruto has impaled his katana in the ground and made several hand seals. Raiden. Thunder Bullet Jutsu. The last loyal Uchiha positioned his open palm towards the ex-Kiri ninja and released the collected chakra from his palm. A yellow, sparking missile flew towards the clone of Zabuza, who was unable to defend himself, and the attack struck him right in the chest, dispelling him. After seeing his clone defeated by 2 genin, Zabuza grunted. HMPH, don't get cocky because you defeated my clone, the missing nin shouted and prepared to make another clone, but was stopped when he heard Yugito call her next jutsu and saw Naruto starting to make hand seals. Sweden. Water Colliding Wave Jutsu. Suddenly a large wave erupted from the lake that Zabuza was standing and was heading towards the missing nin, but then everybody heard another voice. Raiden. Thunder Bullet Jutsu. Another yellow ball of concentrated chakra flew out of Naruto's hand, but this time it mixed with the wave, which was few meters away from Zabuza and Kakashi, who was still trapped in the missing nin's attack. When Zabuza saw the large wave, he was shocked, but after seeing how the electricity was flowing in the water attack, he got worried. If this will hit me, it will be over, he thought, and made the only thing he could in this situation. He released the hold on the water orb, which entrapped Kakashi, and used Shunshin to get away, as did Kakashi, who soon appeared next to his 2 genin in crouching position. It worked. Both Naruto and Yugito thought with smiles. After appearing next to his team, Kakashi straightened inside. He turned around and gave his team an eye smile. Good grief, having to be saved by my own genin on our first real mission. I will be laughing stock if someone hears about that, he told to himself. Good job you two, you did great. Let me take it from here on, he said, and they all hear Zabuza appearing once again on the water. Soon Kakashi followed suit, and both of them were standing on the lake about 10 meters away from each other. I hate to say it, but your 2 brats aren't half bad, Kakashi, Zabuza said as he glanced quickly to the shore to see the 2 genin standing again in front of Tazuna instead of the 4 clones. Well, of course, they're great. After all, I am their teacher, nay, the silver-haired Jonin said with another eye smile. But sadly they will have to die after I kill you, but maybe I will keep this boy as my tool, he has a lot of potentials, Zabuza said with a smirk. Oh, you have no idea how right you are. Actually, both of them have bigger potential than even myself. I wouldn't be surprised if they would surpass me one day, Kakashi stated, shocking Zabuza about how much faith the one-eyed shinobi had in the 2 pre-teens. Enough with the talk. Zabuza roared and started a long chain of hand seals, which to his shock, Kakashi started doing at the same speed. On the shore, Naruto watched with his Sharingan active and started to follow the hand seas himself. Suddenly all of them stopped and shouted the next jutsu. Sweden. Water Dragon Jutsu. When Zabuza saw that Kakashi was able to copy the jutsu, he was surprised, but when he heard the voice from one of the genin, he couldn't believe it. A moment after they called their jutsu, 3 large dragons made of water with yellow eyes came to life. The ones created by Kakashi and Zabuza were fighting in a stalemate until the 3rd came to help the one created by Kakashi. The 2 dragons overwhelmed Zabuza's and attacked the ex-Kiri Jonin, who had no time to either jump away or substitute himself. As the 2 dragons neared, Zabuza crossed his arms in front of himself to reduce the damage. When the two water dragons hit Zabuza, he was sent flying through several trees and he stopped on the fifth tree. Getting hit by two large dragons made from chakra-enhanced water was not something that you could simply just ignore. Zabuza was a perfect testimony for that, as he could barely move. The pain in his body was extreme. He felt as if every bone in his body was broken. Suddenly Kakashi appeared on a branch above Zabuza with a kunai in his hand as he glared at the missing nin. "See, can your eyes see the future?" The strained voice of Zabuza rang through the area. Kakashi simply redid the kunai to attack. "Yes, and your future is death," he shouted, and was about to end his enemy until he heard the sound of something flying through the air. He scanned the surrounding for a moment until he saw two senbon flying towards Zabuza and hitting him in the base of his neck. Zabuza's wide eyes looked on Kakashi, who was searching for the person who killed Zabuza. In a swirl of leaves, a person not older than Naruto and Yugito appeared next to Zabuza. The person was wearing a Kirigakure Hunter Nin clothes and a mask, which hid the person's face. The newcomer looked at Kakashi and bowed. "Greetings and thank you for giving me the possibility to kill Zabuza. I was after him for years, but I had no real chance to kill him. I shall take him now and destroy the body," the person said in a soft voice, closer to a female. The person took hold of Zabuza and turned once more to Kakashi to see that both Naruto and Yugito were there already with him. "Thank you once again. Farewell," the person said and disappeared in a swirl of leaves. "Naruto," Kakashi said, turning to one of his students, who had his katana already sheathed. "What is it, sensei?" the dark-haired boy asked, a bit concerned when he heard how tired his sensei sounded. "Catch me," the silver-haired shinobi said and started falling forward, just in time for Naruto to extend his arm and catch him. Naruto made a hand seal and created 4 clones who started to carry the one-eyed Jonin. "I guess we should return to Tazuna," Yugito said, and the original nodded. They walked over to Tazuna, who was left guarded by 2 clones of Yugito, who after seeing that the real one was back, dispelled. "All right, Tazuna-san. How far is it to your home?" asked Naruto. Tazuna thought for a moment. It will be about 15 minutes at the pace we walked since we left Konoha," the old bridge builder answered. Naruto nodded. "All right, let's go," Naruto stated, and the group started to walk towards Tazuna's house. It has been 2 weeks since the encounter with Zabuza. In this time Team 7 has been training since they already knew that Zabuza wasn't really killed. Instead, he was saved and he will come back soon, but this time with help of the fake hunter Nin that saved him the other day. It was an early morning in the house of Tazuna's family. Team 7 together with Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter, Inari, Tazuna's grandson, and Tazuna himself were sitting around the table in the dining room, eating breakfast made by Tsunami. The 3 ninja had already told the bridge builder about the situation with Zabuza, which after hearing it he paled and almost fainted. From Kakashi's calculations, Zabuza would be attacking either today or tomorrow, but to be sure they assumed it would be today, and so they were already prepared. After they finished eating, the little group headed over to the bridge, at which when they came was a thick mist covering it. Luckily for the workers, Tazuna told them to come later than usual just to be sure. When they walked on the bridge, 2 figures appeared in front of them, one being Zabuza and the other was the masked ninja. "Naruto, make several clones and let them take Tazuna back home, then both you and Yugito will take the hunter Nin, while I take care of Zabuza," Kakashi ordered, but before Naruto could do anything, Zabuza said. "Do you really think that you can leave like that?" Suddenly 8 water clones of Zabuza encircled the group. "Besides, don't you want to save the villagers?" the ex-Kiri Nin asked, and then suddenly was an explosion in the village, followed by screams and shouts. Team 7's, as well as Tazuna's eyes, widened when they heard the explosion. "Naruto, create the clones and take them to Tazuna's home, then head over to the village and deal with the thugs. Yugito, you will have to take on the hunter Nin," the silver-haired Jonin ordered as he took out 2 kunai in a reverse grip and took a fighting stance, while Yugito took out her ninjutsu and prepared for the upcoming battle. Naruto nodded to his sensei and suddenly disappeared. In an instant, all of Zabuza's clones splashed and the water fell to the ground. When Zabuza looked to where the Uchiha and the bridge builder were previously standing, the only thing that he saw was empty air. "You know, Kakashi, this brat of yours is something special. To be so proficient at flash step at so young age is something rare. I wonder how strong he would become if he didn't have to die today." "Well, I guess we will never know," the missing Nin said and readied himself for his rematch with the copy ninja. The 2 experienced shinobi stood there glaring at each other, waiting for the other to make a move. "You know, Kakashi, I think that our rematch can wait a moment. Why don't we watch as our students fight?" the demon of the hidden mist asked. Kakashi looked at him and slowly took a more comfortable stance, which allowed him to be prepared if Zabuza attacked, but also he could watch Yugito's battle. On the other side of the bridge, Yugito and the masked nin were glaring at each other. Yugito was ready with her ninjutsu, while her opponent toom out 6 senbon 3 in each hand, between her fingers. Suddenly both of them rushed at each other. Yugito attacked first with a horizontal swing at her opponent's neck, trying to end this quickly. The hunter nin ducked under the attack and tried a thrust with her right hand at Yugito's gut, but the blonde-haired girl sidestepped to her right and launched a left roundhouse kick at the other girl's solar plexus. The fake hunter nin blocked her attack with her right knee and suddenly threw the senbo in her left hand at Yugito's shoulder. The blonde was able to deflect all 3 of the weapons, but in meanwhile, the black-haired girl made several one-handed hand seals. Hijutsu. 1,000 Needles of Death. The hunter nin then stomped her feet on the ground and the moisture from the bridge created a large number of needles made of water which were flying around the duo. Suddenly all of the needles flew down on the 2 girls. Haku used Flash Step to get out of the harm's way, while Yugito pushed a large amount of chakra into her feet which made her fly high into the sky, not even one needle scratching her. While she was in the air, she made several hand seals and said, Kaden. Great Fireball Jutsu. The great orb of fire made her way towards the hunter nin who jumped back just in time to avoid getting burned alive. When Yugito landed on the bridge, she and the hunter nin glared at each other and prepared for another round. A moment later, the 2 of them rushed forward, again meeting in the middle of their way. The 2 girls then started a kenjutsu fight with Yugito using her ninjutsu and Haku using the senbon, the way she used it previously. With Naruto, after creating 5 shadow clones and made them protect Tazuna, the original Naruto rushed towards the village just in time to see a large number of thugs run out of the forest towards the village, while there were already a few inside the village. Naruto crossed his fingers and poured a large amount of chakra created over 50 shadow clones and ordered them to take care inside the village. Then he used Flash Step just in time to appear 20 meters in front of the village and 10 meters in front of the about 70 thugs. The thugs hired by Gato were a bit surprised by the arrival but soon started to laugh. Haha. A hero came to stop us from destroying the village, one of them exclaimed between laughs. Boy, better run away or you will just join the fate of the village, another shouted with a sinister grin. I will not let you pass here. Either you will turn around or all of you will die, Naruto stated in a calm voice as he activated his Sharingan again. It wasn't necessary to use his dojutsu against some thugs, but he had to make it as fast as he could and without any injury if it can be helped. As he hears the gang laugh even harder and shout something about being foolish and dying, Naruto started to slowly unsheath his katana with his left thumb which rested the whole time against the blade. Very well, your fate has been sealed, the black-haired boy stated. Enough. Kill this brat and then proceed with our plans. One of them shouted and the rest shouted in approval. Suddenly 2 of the group rushed at Naruto who stood there calmly. When the 2 were close enough, they lifted their blades above their heads, leaving an opening at their torso. With one fluid motion, Naruto grabbed the hilt of his katana and cut the 2 in half, shocking the rest, but soon the shock turned into rage and the whole group rushed to the genin who made another group of shadow clones, this time only 2. The 3 Naruto stood in a line preventing any of the thugs to get through them. Soon the numbers of thugs started to get smaller and smaller. After entering a horizontal slash of katana at his head, Naruto tilted his head to the right to avoid a spear that was aimed at his head. Then he blocked a horizontal slash at his left side and cut off the head of the attacker. Suddenly another thug with a wakizashi rushed at him, trying to shove the blade into Naruto's heart. The black-haired genin simply caught the weapon by the blade, shocking the attacker, but before he could think about it, his head was also cut down. 5 minutes later every thug was killed and the clones in the village finished up as well. Naruto was about to go for the bridge when he hears another shout. When he turned around he saw another 70 thugs standing there, grinning evilly at the Uchiha, who simply sighed in annoyance. I could either leave a group of shadow clones to do this or finish this with a jutsu. Well, I think I could do this without using too much chakra, seeing how many puddles of water are here, Naruto mused and nodded to his 2 clones. The 3 genin started to go through a long chain of hand seals and when they finished, the thugs were about 7 meters away from them. Perfect. Thanks, Zabuza, he thought with a smirk as he and his clones called his jutsu. Sweden. Water Dragon Jutsu. Suddenly 3 large dragons of water created themselves of the puddles and the moisture in the area. The 3 blue dragons glared at the shocked and afraid thugs with their yellow eyes until they rushed forward, successfully destroying the group, leaving only about 10 thugs who were too shocked to do anything. Using the perfect opportunity, Naruto and his clones used Flash Step and finished the leftovers from the group. Seeing that there was no one left, he crouched and put his index and middle finger to the ground. Ninpo. Chakra Radar. This technique allowed the user to create something like a map that showed almost every chakra signature in a certain area. Naruto and Yugito learned this jutsu when the Uchiha was going through Uchiha clan's scroll vault and they found it. The scroll for the jutsu was looking very old, showing that no one had tried to learn it in some time. Seeing how useful this technique would be and actually how easy it is to learn, they decided to add it to their ninjutsu arsenal. Of course, sensor-type ninja's radar would be much better than a usual ninja, but it was still highly useful. After not sensing any more chakra signatures, the black-haired boy turned towards the bridge and used once again flash step to get there as fast as he could. At the bridge, back on the bridge, things weren't looking too good for the two members of Team 7. While the beginning of Yugito's fight was somewhat a stalemate, it changed after the Hunter Nin used a jutsu called Hajudas, crystal ice mirrors, which basically made a dome of mirrors made of ice around the blonde genin. The black-haired girl then entered one of the mirrors and then suddenly appeared in every one. After that, she started throwing senbon after senbon at Yugito at a pace too fast to see it without a dojutsu. Kakashi hadn't too much luck either, since after the Hunter Nin used her jutsu, Zabuza used the mist to start attacking Kakashi from different positions, making it difficult for the silver-haired Jonin to defend himself or counterattack, as his Sharingan wasn't too much help with the mist around, blocking his view. Sure, it saved him a few times already when Zabuza decided to attack from a close distance and the one-eyed Jonin was able to see him. Now, when Naruto entered the bridge using the flash step, with his Sharingan still activated, the first thing he saw was the dome of the mirrors. When the dark-haired boy looked inside the dome, his blood turned cold. Inside was his childhood friend, not a normal friend, his best friend. A person with who he spent hours training, talking, playing, or simply spending time with was on her knees, her whole body covered by a large amount of senbon. Blood was falling from the various cuts and holes made by the barrages of senbon. Then he saw it. 2 more senbo flying directly at Yugito's heart. Too fast for her to dodge or move, too fast for him to either replace places with her or simply block it, too fast for him to defend her. He rushed towards her, watching with his Sharingan as the 2 needles neared the only person he fully opened his heart for since his clan was murdered. The seconds turned in hours as he couldn't do anything to save her. He was useless. Again, too weak to defend someone he cared with his whole heart about. Again, he could only watch as the ones he cared about were going to die. When the senbon were centimeters away from Yugito's heart, everything went black and white. The time stopped. The Uchiha watched as everything froze, and seeing how he could use it to save her, he tried to move but found out that he also froze in place. Suddenly, he could hear a voice all around him. "Do you want to save her, boy?" asked a male voice. Naruto didn't know who or where the voice came from, but at this moment he could care less. If he was getting a chance to save Yugito, he would do everything. "Yes." Naruto shouted in despair as he tried to move again, but still couldn't move. "What would you do to save her?" the voice asked again. "Everything," the dark-haired genin shouted without any hesitation. "Even replace yourself with her and die instead of her?" the voice asked yet again. "Of course," was Naruto's answer this time. Again he didn't hesitate to answer. There was a short silence in which the Uchiha tried to move his hand to make the hand seals to replace himself, but he could do nothing. "Very well, Uchiha Naruto. You have passed my exam. I will let you wield my power to protect the ones you care about. To use my power, just call my name, which is..." On the bridge, Kakashi's Sharingan saw the same thing that his students did, and he was about to replace himself with her, but the next words stopped him. Inside the dome, Yugito was on her knees panting. She was about to get up but found no strength to do so. In a corner of her eyes, she saw a flicker of light. She knew what it was and she knew what it meant. "So, after all, I won't be able to help you achieve your dreams, Naruto-kun? I won't be able to tell you about my feelings. After all, I was too weak," were the thoughts that were running through the blonde-haired girl's head. Then suddenly all of her memories with Naruto flashed before her eyes. A single tear fell from the corner of her eyes down her cheek. "Goodbye, Naruto-kun." She closed her eyes and prepared for the short pain, but instead, she heard the same words that Kakashi, Zabuza, and the Hunter Nin heard. "Scatter, Senbon Sakura." Everyone on the bridge heard Naruto shouted these words, and in an instant, something that looked like petals of the sakura tree appeared in front of Yugito's heart, blocking the pair of senbon. Using the momentary shock of his opponent, Naruto created a sealless shadow clone which replaced himself with Yugito. The blonde girl was about to fall to her knees as she was replaced in a standing position, but suddenly 2 strong arms caught her. When she lifted her head, she saw the onyx black eyes of her best friend before she smiled. "Naruto-kun," she said with a weak smile and fell into the unconscious. Naruto created another shadow clone, which took Yugito to Dazuna's house since it was the safest place for the moment. When Naruto took the handle of his katana and when he unsheathed it, to his surprise, The blade part was missing until the Sakura pentils came back and connected with the hibaki of his katana and formed the blade again. So that must be what he meant by my powers, whoever said it. I will have to find out about this later, he said to himself, and suddenly all of his shocks disappeared and instead was a cold indifference on his face. His cold, black eyes staring right into the hunter nin's holes on her mask for eyes. The black-haired girl had to stop using her jutsu since her chakra was almost not existent. She looked at him and prepared for a battle, but before the two could fight, there were groans of pains coming from the side at which was Zabuza and Kakashi. The next thing they heard was something like a bird chirping. A moment later the mist started to lift and the two of them witnessed the image of Zabuza being pinned down by a pack of dogs and Kakashi standing in front of him with his right hand surrounded by something that looked like a blade of lighting. Zabuza. This is the end, Kakashi roared and started to run towards the missing nin. At this moment Naruto heard the voice of someone that wasn't here previously. The newcomer was laughing maniacally, and when the dark-haired boy moved his eyes to the unfinished side of the bridge, his eyes narrowed when he saw Gato, but before he could attack the man his eyes shifted back to Kakashi, and to his shock, the hunter nin was running towards Zabuza to be used as a human shield. Naruto could see that she was about very low on chakra and she was moving with many difficulties. Suddenly it all clicked. This little piece of shit, he thought, and used his fastest flash step to appear next to Kakashi and grab his wrist with both of his hands, shocking, but also stopping the Jonin. Kakashi looked at Naruto with wide eyes. What are you doing, Naruto? He shouted, but Naruto pointed on the unfinished side of the bridge. A moment later the realization hit Kakashi and he cancelled his jutsu and turned to Zabuza, but before he could say something, Gato started. The demon of the hidden mist, my ass. You two have failed twice, so I think that I don't need you. As you can see, I have hired all of this gentleman to do the work. You failed twice for only half the price I would pay both you and your whore. Gato shouted, and the army of thugs, which were about 300, started to laugh. All right. Shut up, he ordered, and there was a silence. Gato. We had an agreement, Zabuza roared, furious that he won't get paid after all he had done for this mission. As I can see, you have failed. That means our agreement came to an end, Gato stated with a cocky smirk, which only infuriated the missing nin even more. Well, Zabuza, looks like we are not enemy anymore, Kakashi said with an eye smile as he covered his Sharingan. HMPH, it seems so, Zabuza confirmed, and the copy ninja released the dogs. All right, I will take the... Before he could say anything more he fell down to his knees. Haha. So pathetic. Everyone listen. Anyone who will bring me this bitch with the mask will get a free night with her. The businessman shouted, making all of the thugs grin and check the girl out. At this moment something snapped in Naruto. All right, she might have been an enemy a moment ago and she tried to kill Yugito, but even so, he wouldn't let just rape them someone if he could stop it. Kakashi-sensei, you are low on chakra, you should stand back. Zabuza-san, you are very injured, you should stand back as well. The hunter nin looks were tired after using her jutsu as well. All of you, just stand back, I will take care of them, Naruto stated as he sheathed his katana. Who do you think you are, brat? Zabuza shouted, angry that some punny genin would tell him what to do. Naruto sighed and looked at Zabuza over his shoulder. The one that will save you from rushing in with a kunai in your mouth and dying after that, Naruto said, and started to make a chain of hand seals, not even waiting for the thugs to attack. He had enough of them for one day. Kaden. Great fireball jutsu. He exhaled the orb towards the thugs who were still checking the hunter nin out and with that were not prepared to get burned. When they saw that their comrades died, they shouted and rushed towards the groups. Without stopping, Naruto started to go through another set of hand seals. Raiden. Thunder bullet jutsu. The Uchiha pushed more than normal chakra into the jutsu, making it bigger, and with that, he caught more of the thugs in it. As some of the thugs were being electrified to death, he started going through another set of signs. Kaden. Dargon fire jutsu. As a dragon flew out of his mouth, Gato looked horrified how a child was able to take so many of his man without moving from a place. He started to slowly walk away to the rope he had left, which led to his boat. Naruto was able to catch the glimpse of Gato and smirked. Gato. You are not going anywhere. The Uchiha shouted and pointed his right, index finger at the businessman. Please, let it work, he thought, and started to collect Raiden chakra in his finger. A moment later his smirk got wielder as he said his next jutsu. Raiden. Pale lighting. As the lighting started to fly through the crowd of thugs, Gato looked at it with obvious fear in his eyes. Not a second later, his heart got pierced by the pale blue-colored lighting, which made a hole of the size of a fist in his chest. Without any other word, he fell to the ground, dead. All right, let's see if I will be able to use it again, Naruto said to himself as he unsheathed his katana and placed it parallel to his torso, making it look like the blade was splitting his face into two halves. Scatter, Senbon Sakura. Once again the blade dissolved into what seemed to look like sakura petals. With a move of his left wrist forward, the pink pentals flew forward, cutting through the thugs like a hot knife through butter. The two Jonin looked at Naruto with wide eyes, filled with awe, respect, pride, and Zabuza even somewhat with fear, imagining himself and Haku being on the place of the thugs. 4 minutes later and some moves of the wrist, there was none of the thugs alive. Alright, that's it I guess, Naruto said as he sheathed his katana. So, Zabuza, what are you going to do now? You both look like you could use some medical attention, besides we have still a free room back at Tazuna's house. I am sure he won't be you two staying with us, Kakashi said with an eye smile. Zabuza thought about it for a moment and then looked over to the now sleeping Haku. Fine, we will come along, the missing nin said. With this the four of them, well 3 of them walked, 1 was carried, went towards Tazuna's house. Kakashi was going to tell Tazuna exactly what happened on the bridge so he won't have to worry about either Zabuza or Gato anymore. After they came back to Tazuna's home, Naruto instantly went to check on Yugito just to see that Tsunami had finished bandaging all of her wounds, basically all of her body. Zabuza, who was carrying the sleeping Haku, went to their room assigned by Tazuna to rest after the recent events. Meanwhile, Kakashi was telling Tazuna about what happened on the bridge. The silver-haired Jonin told him about the battle and about how Naruto killed Gato. After hearing this news, the old bridge builder ran out of his home to inform the rest of the village. After making sure that his teammate was alright, Naruto also went to sleep. Since he saved Yugito back on the bridge, he was very tired, probably because of him obtaining the new powers of his katana. When he entered his room and laid down on his futon, he fell asleep faster than the usual. When he opened his eyes, he found himself in a new surrounding. He was laying in the middle of a clearing, surrounded by tens of sakura tree. Suddenly a mass of sakura petals flew in a group towards the clearing. Seeing that, Naruto took a defensive taijutsu stance, ready to defend himself or jump away. As the petals touched the ground, they started to take the form of a tall, light-skinned man with blue eyes and long, dark brown hair, which frames his face with 2 chest-length bangs and is tied up in the back with a white ribbon in a long ponytail which reaches his lower back. His face is covered by an ornate mask featuring golden teeth, black lips and fangs, a golden protrusion on either side and a golden headpiece shaped like 3 cherry blossoms. He wears a long, light purple kimono with white stripes running down the center and sleeves, which is tied at his waist with a long piece of white fabric that hangs down in 2 long loops in the front. He wears a red gold pauldron on each shoulder, which is connected by a golden band with strips of red fabric hanging from it and 2 interweaved strips of red fabric above it. He wears red, elbow-length gauntlets and red greaves. Who are you? And where are we? Naruto asked, not taking his eyes off the new man. The newcomer, on the other hand, was standing there relaxed. My name is Senbon Sakura and we are in your mind, well at least the part that I am in. The other part is where the fox lives, the now identified Senbon Sakura said, shocking Naruto, who after hearing the name relaxed his stance, but was still ready to defend himself if necessary. So you are the one that gave my katana these new powers? The dark-haired boy asked. The brown-haired man shook his head. No, I didn't give your katana new powers. I allowed you to use my powers, he said, confusing Naruto. What do you mean? He asked, making Senbon Sakura sigh. I didn't give your katana new powers, because I allowed you use my powers, since I am your katana or more precisely the spirit living in your blade, the armored man answered, making Naruto's eyes go wide. Does that mean that every weapon has a spirit? The Uchiha asked, but the older man shook his head. No, I am the only weapon with a spirit sealed inside of it. At least there is no other that I know about, he stated. How come? The genin of Konoha asked. Long story short, I was forged very, very long ago by the greatest blacksmith in the history. After I was forged, the blacksmith went to a local mage, who made a long ritual and gave the sword powers which were never seen before. Both of them were so shocked that the sword became so powerful that the only explanation why it was so strong was that it was the contribution of the blacksmith. A week after the katana was forged, the son of the blacksmith has been killed by a powerful man. After hearing the news that his son died, the blacksmith was so furious that he traveled over the elemental continent to meet a witch who supposedly was able to bring death back to life. As you may know, a normal person would like to bring the dead back to life, but the blacksmith did not. He wanted the witch to seal his son's soul to be sealed in the katana that he could kill the man with his son's soul. During the ritual, the witch made a mistake and thus she did not seal the son in the blade but another spirit, me. After hearing that news, the blacksmith was furious and tried to kill the witch because he wanted to kill the man with this blade because without the power that the katana granted, he would not succeed. A moment before the witch died, she cast a powerful spell on the sword, connecting the sword with the man in the way that should the man kill someone, he will die as well. After the blacksmith came back, he got his revenge. He died the next day, leaving the katana alone. Soon, lots of people came and tried to get the sword for them, but none of them were able to use the powers, because since I was sealed inside the katana, I obtained the powers of the sword, making it possible for me to stop everybody from using the powers. After so many failed to use my powers, they sold it to others, and so I was traveling through the land, without a master. Many years later, a certain black-haired man, named Uchiha Byakuya. Wait. Do you mean my Hokage-san? Naruto asked, cutting in. Indeed, your great-grandfather, Uchiha Byakuya bought me one day and used as his katana. After some time, when he needed my help the most, I tested him the same I did with you, and after he passed my little exam, I let him use my powers. When he left the shinobi way of life, he gave me to your grandfather, Uchiha Kagami, who used my on a few occasions, but beside that he wasn't too much of a swordsman, so after his son, your father, started his shinobi career, he did the same as his father did. He gave me as a gift to your father. It took some time for me to let him use my powers, but ultimately he was the third person to ever use the powers. Now, you are the fourth, Senbo Sakura stated. Not that I am not happy about the story or something, but couldn't you simply say that you were forged by the blacksmith and got your powers by the mage and then sold? Naruto asked, a bit confused why it took the sword spirit so long to tell the story. No, if I would not be sealed by the witch in this katana, then everyone that took me into his hands could use my powers. Besides, I also wanted to tell you why your father had been famous for me. Sasuke of the Thousand Blades. Yeah, that sounded badass, the spirit said, once again confusing his new master. Why Thousand Blades? The young Uchiha asked, not understanding what he meant. Ah, yes. I haven't told you yet about the powers that I can give my wielder. Well, there are two stages of my power. The first one is called Shikai, which you activate by the command, scatter, Senbon Sakura. When you use the Shikai, the blade of the katana dissolves into thousand tiny, but sharp blades, which reflect light in such a way that they resemble the cherry blossom petals. You can control them by moving the handle of the katana in the direction you want them to go. There is also the second stage, which is called Bankai, which will activate when you drop your katana blade first into the ground and say, Bankai, Senbon Sakura Kageyoshi. The Bankai is a bigger version of your Shikai, but where in Shikai you have 1,000 of the blades to control, in your Bankai you have about 1,000,000 of them, which allows you to use them on offense and defense. But before you try dropping it on the ground, you must know that before you will be able to use Bankai, you will have to spend many hours learning and mastering in the Shikai, and even so it is not guaranteed that you will be able to use it. Not even your father was able to do it, Senbon Sakura explained. Was my Hokage-san able to use the Bankai? Naruto asked, curious to know if anyone of his family was able to use such a strong technique. Yes, he was. It took him very long, but he was able to use the Bankai. Well, I think that we have talked enough for tonight. It's time to wake up, the masked man said, confusing Naruto once again. But we have talked for about 7 minutes tops, the Uchiha said. Indeed we have, but time here is much, much faster than outside. Now wake up. Suddenly Naruto woke up in his room, back at Tazuna's house. It was early in the morning, but he could tell that everybody was already down, since Kakashi was not in his futon anymore, and he could hear voices down in the kitchen. As he stood up, he looked at his katana and laid it on his lap. Was it all a dream? He wondered. No, I can assure you that everything really happened, the voice of Senbon Sakura said in Naruto's head, shocking the dark-haired boy. Wait. You can hear my thoughts and you can talk to me in my head? The young Uchiha asked after several seconds of pause. Indeed I can, and only you can hear me. Besides, you won't hear me if we are not in direct contact, like now, the sword spirit explained. Alright. I guess I will be going to get something to eat and see how everybody is doing, Naruto said to his new partner as he placed the katana on his bed and started to dress up. A few moments later, he was in his usual attire and he walked down to the dining room, just in time to see that everyone, including Zabuza and Haku, was sitting around the table, eating breakfast. Good morning, everyone, Naruto said with a smile as he walked over to the table and took a place next to Yugito. How are you feeling, Yugito-chan? He asked. Well, I might not have as good healing abilities as you, but you know that they are high above average, so you don't have to worry. I am ready for another round if needed, the blonde-haired girl answered, making Naruto smile once again. And how about you, Haku-san? The Uchiha asked, shocking the black-haired girl. How friendly the boy was in contrast to yesterday. I am feeling well, Naruto-san, Haku said with a small blush, which she tried to hide, turning her face to right, shocking Zabuza that his apprentice had stuttered. Never, and I mean never ever have I hear Haku stutter. Maybe she has some kind of crush on the brat. Well, you surely made a good choice, girl, the demon of the mist thought with a smirk under the bandages, which were covering his face as usual. As the group started to speak about various topics while eating breakfast, which was prepared by Tsunami, Naruto was having one thought on his mind. Zabuza-san, Haku-san, if you don't me asking, have you though what the both of you will do once you leave? Naruto asked, shocking Zabuza slightly. I will go anywhere Zabuza-sama goes, Haku exclaimed, making Naruto nod and turn to Zabuza, who was deep in thoughts. Well, I haven't thought about it yet, but if I would have to decide now, I would say we go to the land of tea to earn more money, Zabuza answered, making Naruto nod once again. Do you have a reason why you collect money or do you just use it to survive? Naruto asked. We use all the money we earn to survive, since there are not too many things that an A-rank missing nin can do, Zabuza stated. And what would you do if I offered you asylum in Konoha? Naruto asked with a smirk, shocking every four of the ninja. What do you mean by that? Zabuza asked, hoping that if the brat had a good idea that he and Haku wouldn't need to run away again. I am the last Uchiha in Konoha and the council is afraid that I will leave the village, leaving them without any Sharingan. That is the reason why the whole civilian council is on my side. Besides, as the Uchiha clan heir, I will be able to grant you protection under my clan's name, making you both the Uchiha clan's members so that you won't have to worry about anything since no one will be able to do anything to you both. Besides, I am on very good terms with Hokage-sama and I could even make you both our village shinobi, with Haku joining our team and if everything will go good, you becoming an assistant Jonin sensei for us. What do you say? Naruto asked the shell-shocked Zabuza who couldn't believe that a genin could have so much political power in the village. The ex-Kiri ninja looked at Kakashi, who nodded in confirmation, showing that Naruto was not kidding. What do you say, Haku? Do you want to join them and finally have a place to call home? Zabuza asked. After a moment Haku nodded with a big smile on her face. Well, brat. It seems that we are coming with you, he said. For the next week, Tazuna and the rest of the village have been finishing the bridge and the moment has finally come. Today they finished the bridge. Team 7 together with Zabuza and Haku were standing on the bridge, saying goodbyes and such things. Nay, Tazuna-san, what will you call the bridge? It needs a name after all, Kakashi asked, as he read his orange book. Tazuna thought about this for a moment until he snapped his fingers, silencing everybody, who wanted to hear the name of the newly built bridge. We will call it, the Great Naruto Bridge, to honor the boy that saved our village from hundreds of Gado's thugs and killed the man himself. The old bridge builder shouted and soon everyone followed. Alright, I think it's time for us to go. Hokage-sama has waited for us long enough. Later, Kakashi said and the rest of the group soon followed him. It took Team 7 together with Zabuza and Haku about 11 hours to get back to Konoha. Once upon they returned, they were led by a squad of Anbu to the Hokage's office to explain why an A-ranked missing nin was with them and was under the protection of the Uchiha clan. After they arrived in the Hokage office, Kakashi gave a report of the mission, during which, Hiruzen almost had a heart attack when he heard that Naruto unlocked the powers of the Senbon Sakura. So, you want to tell me, that you have fought against Zabuza-san, then after winning you trained and then fought Zabuza-san and Haku-san and during the battle Naruto-kun has unlocked the power of his katana. After the battle, Gado has betrayed you too and Naruto wanted you to join us? Hiruzen asked, making all 5 of them nod their heads. Then what about it, Hokage-sama? Can the 2 of them join Konoha? Naruto asked. I will have to notify the council and see if they agree, the old man said, making Naruto smirk. A smirk that Hiruzen knew too well. From what I can remember since they are under the protection of my clan, I am allowed to come to the meeting as well, right? Indeed, you are right, Naruto-kun. Turtle. Suddenly an Anbu operative with a turtle mask appeared in front of Sarutobi while kneeling. Yes, sir? The Anbu asked. Inform the council about a meeting in 15 minutes, the Sandaime ordered, which was followed by an, hi. From the Anbu. Yugito-chan. Kakashi, I am sorry but you two can't go with us. Kakashi, I expect a written, detailed report for tomorrow morning, so you can go and start it now. Naruto-kun, Haku-chan, Zabuza-san, let's go, Sandaime said as he stood up from his desk with a pipe in his mouth. See ya tomorrow, Yugito-chan, Naruto said as he and the other 3 left the office and started walking towards the council chamber. As they entered the chamber, Naruto, Zabuza, and Haku took places that were between the Shinobi Council and Civilian Council and in front of the place that Hokage took. As the minutes went, more and more councilmen entered the room and soon the chamber was filled. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. You all probably wonder why I have gathered you all on this fine day. The reason is that on his last mission, Uchiha Naruto has saved Momochi Zabuza and his apprentice, Yuki Haku and invited them to join our village. As you may know, if it would be anyone else, I would have declined it outright, but since Zabuza-san has been a missing nin for years and Haku was never an official ninja, I decided to ask you all what do you have to say in this matter. Before we start the veto, let's hear what Naruto-san has to say. Here is stated. Soon, Naruto was standing in the middle of the chamber and was looking at the Hokage and his two advisors who were sitting next to him. Honorable Council, I will be quick with this since I guess no one wants to sit here. Some would like to take a nap, right, Shikaku-san? Naruto asked, making the head of the Nara clan, who was sleeping, wake up and listen to what the boy had to say. The reasons why I have decided to ask the two of them to join Konoha is pretty easy. We all know that Zabuza-san was one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, making his one of the best kenjutsu users in the world. Zabuza would be perfect to teach the new upcoming generation of kenjutsu users, which would lead to making Konoha shinobi more versatile. Haku-san, on the other hand, is one of the last hidden users in the elemental nations. She could one day restore her clan here in Konoha, which leads us to Konoha gaining another powerful bloodline limit. Besides that, Haku-san would be a perfect match for my and Yugito-san's genin team. She would take the role of the long fighter, with Yugito being mid-fighter and me close fighter. I and Yugito-san would also benefit from gaining experience from Zabuza-san, so it would be perfect to place him on my team as well. Both he and Kakashi-san would make a perfect duo which would make them in a way our bodyguards that nothing can happen to us on a mission. That's all I wanted to say, thank you, Naruto said and went to sit back on his place. Well then, let's vote. Who is for Zabuza-san and Haku-san to join Konoha as our shinobi? Hiruzen asked. The whole civilian side of the council raised their hands, as did both of the advisors. A few moments later, Shoza, Inoichi, and Shikakao raised their hands. It didn't take too long for the rest of the shinobi side of the council to do the same. Very well, from today on, Yumamochi Zabuza and Yuki Haku are shinobi of Konohagakure, Hiruzen said, making both of them and Naruto stand up and bow. Then, the meeting is. The sandame was cut by Hyuga Heishi. Hokage-sama, if I may, Heishi asked, making the old man nodded. I was wondering where the two of them will be staying. If they wish they can stay at the HYU. The Hyuga clan head was cut by Naruto, who was smirking. Don't worry, Hyuga. Both of them are under the protection of the great Uchiha clan, Naruto said, making Heishi seethe since he has lost a powerful shinobi and a powerful bloodline. He wanted the two to join his clan and arrange a marriage between the girl and some of the main branch Hyuga so the Hyudan stays with the Hyuga, giving the clan more power. Well, I think it is time for us to go. Let's go Zabuza-san, Haku-san, the young Uchiha said and left the chamber, with the two following behind him. For the next week, Naruto has been showing Haku and Zabuza around, have helped them move into the Uchiha compound and meet some people. Besides that, Haku, Naruto and Yugito have been doing some teamwork exercises to perfect and synchronize their skills to be ready for any kind of situation. Haku has been also teaching the two of them how to do one-handed seals since it was very helpful in the middle of battle. On the last 2 days, the three of them started mastering their natural affinity, with Raiden being Naruto's, Suiden being Yugito's and Suiden and Futon being Haku's, but the ice user decided that she will master the Suiden first. In their free time, Naruto has also started to train with Senbon Sakura to make the blades move faster, while Yugito started to learn a new technique and Haku started to learn medical ninjutsu. After the week was over, Team 7 had met on their training ground, which was numbered 7. When the 3 genin entered the clearing, they saw that both Kakashi and Zabuza were waiting there for them already. Good morning, everyone, Kakashi greeted with an eye smile, while he read his orange book. Zabuza on the other hand simply nodded to the 3 as they sat down in front of the 2 jonin. So sensei, what will we do today? Continue on training on our natural affinity or will we have some free time training? Yugito asked as she was eager to finish learning her newest jutsu. No, today and the next 3 days you will have free as I together with Zabuza have nominated you 3 for the Chunin exams which started in 3 days. If you decide to take a part in it, you have to come with this application to the Academy Room 301 in 3 days. Later, he said and vanished in a puff of smoke, leaving only Zabuza with them. You heard him. If you want to become Chunin, go there in 3 days. What he forgot to mention is that you have to come as a team of 3, otherwise you will not be able to take part in it. Till the next time, he said and used Shunshin the same way as Kakashi did. So, are you two gonna take part in it? Naruto asked as he pocketed the application which the 2 jonin left on the ground, exactly where they stood. Of course. We 3 are more than ready to become Chunin, right, Haku-chan? Yugito asked without hesitation, while the Hyudan user nodded with a confident smile. Great. Let's go celebrate at Ichiraku's, my treat today, Naruto exclaimed with a grin as the group started to head towards the ramen bar. As the three of them neared the Ichirakus, they suddenly heard a child's voice shout. The shout was followed by a voice that Naruto and Yugito knew too well. Naruto looked at his two companions who shrugged and they went to check what was happening over there. When they arrived at the place that the commotion was happening, they saw a black-suited boy lifting Konohamaru, the grandson of the Sandaime. Naruto and Yugito have met him on a few occasions, and since Konohamaru saw how strong Naruto was, he took him as a model figure. Next to the black-suited boy was standing a blonde-haired girl with a large fan on her back. On the other side of the street was standing Haruno Sakura, self-proclaimed Naruto's fangirl #1. Next to her was standing Sai, her teammate, and behind them was another boy, who was coming from a rich civilian family and was very arrogant, always thinking that he was the best. His arrogance was so bad, that after seeing that Naruto started to learn Kenjutsu and once again outclassed him in something, he started to take classes from some guy that his parents paid for. Unfortunately, Naruto wasn't able to remember his name since he never bothered to learn it. The boy was wearing a light blue t-shirt and black pants. Over his t-shirt, he had a red jacket which had 2 yellow lines going down on each of his sleeves. He also wore black shinobi sandals and a chikudo strapped on his back. He had long brown hair, which went down to his neck, and brown eyes. Behind Sakura was also standing Udon and Moegi, Konohamaru's best friends and classmates. While Udon also idolized Naruto like Konohamaru, Moegi wanted to become like Yugito. Like she described her, beautiful and strong. "Kankuro, let the brat go. Don't you remember why we're here?" asked the blonde girl with the fan. The boy on the other hand just smirked. "Don't worry, Tamari. I am just gonna teach the brat some manners," he said as he cocked his right fist back, to hit the academy student in the face. "Hey, let him go, you freak," Sakura shrieked, but Kankuro didn't pay her mind. "HMPH. You better listen to this chick or I will have to kick you to a bloody pulp," Sakura's and Sai's teammate exclaimed arrogantly, while his right hand went for the handle of his chikudo. "Katsuro, don't drag us into some needles fights," Sai said. Sai never joined Root here, but it was already too late as his brown-haired teammate unsheathed his chikudo and leapt forward. He made a horizontal slash, which would cut Konohamaru and Kankuro in half. Seeing that his young friend was in danger, Naruto leapt forward. Moegi and Udon, who were still standing behind Sakura, were horrified when they saw what the arrogant genin wanted to do. Not wanting to witness their friend's death, they closed their eyes, but there was no scream of pain or sound of a blade cutting through flesh. Instead, there was a clang, indicating that metal met metal. When they opened their eyes, they saw the white Haori with the Uchiha fan on the back and those long black sleeves. Next to Kankuro was standing Naruto, with his katana unsheathed and blocking Katsuro's chikudo. All of the shinobi presents were shocked as they have never seen him appear in this position. "Katsuro-san, I suggest that you never again try to harm the grandson of the 3rd Hokage or any foreign shinobi, because such incident might cost us a war," Naruto said in a calm, but cold voice, full of authority. Tamari, who was standing a bit back, blushed after checking Naruto out. "And to think that I thought that the brown-haired boy was handsome," she thought. Suddenly Naruto managed to throw the chikudo out of Katsuro's hand after a fluid motion. He then turned to Kankuro, which shivered after seeing the cold, onyx-black eyes. "I suggest to you that you leave the grandson of the 3rd Hokage in peace, otherwise I will have to intervene to protect a citizen of Konoha," the young Uchiha warned in the same cold voice, which reminded Kankuro of his younger brother, Gaara. Suddenly another voice ringed from a tree that was standing near them all. "Kankuro, let the kid go. You are embarrassed to our village," said another cold voice, which was followed by a wave of killing intent. In an instant, Kankuro let go of Konohamaru, who ran back behind Sakura to join their friends. "BB but Gaara, they." Kankuro stuttered out but was cut by a boy that was standing on a branch of the tree. "Shut up or I will kill you," said the now identified Gaara, who used a seal-less shunshin and disappeared in a swirl of sand and appeared next to Naruto, who at the time had already sheathed his katana. "I am sorry for the problem that my teammate caused," he said in an emotionless voice. "That's quite all right, Gaara-san. No harm was done," the last loyal Uchiha said, making Gaara nod. "Kankuro, Tamari, let's go," Gaara said, turning around and starting walk away until a voice called them all. "Hey, what's your name?" asked Katsuro, who by now was standing next to Sai. Looking over his shoulder, Gaara answered. "Sabaku no Gaara." "What's yours?" asked the red-haired boy, making Katsuro smirk. "Horyuka." He was cut off by Gaara. "Not your, I mean him," he said, pointing at Naruto, making Katsuro seethe in anger. "Uchiha Naruto," Naruto said, making Gaara nod and continued to walk away. Seeing how there was nothing for him to do, Naruto walked over to the 3 kids and ruffled their heads. "I have 3 days off now. If you want we can get some training done," Naruto asked with a smile. The Uchiha would often train with them, which was basically playing tag, hide and seek, or sometimes even spar with them. All three of them smiled brightly at this and started to nod vigorously. Yes, boss. We will come tomorrow after the academy, Konohamaru said, making the Uchiha nod and walk away. See ya tomorrow, guys, he said and walked to meet with his two teammates who were already eating their ordered ramen. Sabaku no Gara. You are an interesting one, he though as he entered the bar. 3 days later, Team 7 met in front of the academy to enter it together. When they were ready, they entered the building and went towards the room 301 that their sensei told them to go. As they got on the second floor, they were greeted with a sign of a boy going thrown away and land next to a girl with buns and a Hyuga boy. Are you alright, Lee? Asked the bun-haired girl. The green-clad boy nodded and stood up. He then turned to look at the two boys who were standing in front of the door of class 301. Both of them were smirking on the onlookers who were worried because they could not get inside the room. Please, let us in. I must become a Chunin, pleaded Lee, but the two boys in front of the door were simply chuckling and shaking their heads. With such level of skill, you better go home. We are simply saving your lives, said the one on right and the other nodded. People die in the exams. Only the strong one can enter I and hope to survive and get promoted, stated the other one. Suddenly everyone heard another voice. Yugito-chan, Haku-chan, let's go. We wasted enough time here, Naruto said, making his two female teammate nod. The boy who was standing on the right smirked, making his friend a bit concerned since he had known who the boy was. Hey, you, are you so scared that you are going home already? Asked the boy. Oi, Katetsu. The boy on the left warned, but Katetsu didn't pay him mind. Naruto looked at Katetsu and raised an eyebrow. Scared? No, disappointed with the level of the genjutsu you used? Yes, the last loyal Uchiha answered and turned to leave as he heard everybody murmur about the genjutsu. Everyone was about to leave, but then they heard Katetsu again. You are good, but only detecting the genjutsu isn't enough, he shouted as he sprinted towards Naruto, who stood there calmly. Katetsu launched a roundhouse kick to Naruto's head, but suddenly Naruto vanished before everyone's eyes. I think that is enough of games, for now, let's go. Everybody turned to look at the stairs to see Naruto standing there, giving Katetsu an indifferent look, as he turned around and started going further, Yugito and Haku soon following him. Katetsu. Do you even know who he is? Asked Katetsu's friend. No. Who is this kid, Azumo? Katetsu asked, turning to his friend who only sighed and shook his head. Everyone present looked at Azumo, wanting to know who was that boy. Some boy who was arrogant enough wanted to know who they wanted to fight, and some girls wanting to know who this handsome and strong teenager was. He is Uchiha Naruto, the sole survivor of the Uchiha clan. Haven't you noticed the Uchiha clan symbol on his haori? Azumo answered, making Katetsu's and everyone else's eyes widen. So that's as the almighty Uchiha, thought several genin who were from different villages. If he really is Uchiha Naruto, then he will be the perfect person to see if I got any closer to beat Neji, Lee stated to himself. He is so cool, hot, handsome, some kunoichis squealed in their thoughts. The last loyal Uchiha. HMPH, he won't be able to defeat me. After all, destiny had chosen me to be the victor, though the Hyuga kid from Lee's team. Neji, Lee, let's go. The first exam begins in 15 minutes, the bun-haired girl said, making Neji nod. Tenten, Neji, you two go ahead, I have to do something. I will be right back. Lee answered, and before any of his teammates could say anything, he started to run the same way as Naruto and his team did. Tenten simply sighed and shook his head at her teammates' antics. He is going to challenge him, isn't he? She asked, making Neji sigh as well and nod, knowing very well how much Lee wants to prove himself to persons who are acknowledged with the title of genius. Naruto and his two female teammates were walking towards room 301, they suddenly hear someone yell towards them. As they looked back, they saw Lee running towards them and waving his hand. Hey, you! Lee shouted, pointing at Naruto, who looked at him over his shoulder. Fight me, here and now, he demanded as he was standing next to them. The last Uchiha looked at Lee with a raised eyebrow and sighed. No, he said and started walking again. As he was about to leave the room, he hears Lee shout again. Are you a coward? The bowl-haired genin taunted with a smirk as he saw Naruto stop. The dark-haired genin looked at Lee over his shoulder. Lee-san, if you want to fight me, then you will have to advance to the third round of the exams, Naruto said, confusing the Green Clan genin. The third part of the exam is a tournament of one-on-one fights. If you will be able to get to the third part, I will fight you, the Uchiha said. Team 7 resumed them walk until they heard Lee rushing at them. When Lee was close enough, he launched a roundhouse kick at Naruto. The Uchiha caught the other genin shin, shocking the older by.
He is able to catch my kick without any problems and only with one hand. Lee thought, shocked how fast and strong the Uchiha is.
Lee-san, as I said, I do not wish to fight now. We have about 10 minutes before the first exams begin. You don't want to be disqualified before we get a chance to fight, right? Naruto asked as he let go of Lee's shin. The green-clad genin nodded, and after a quick speech of fire of youth he went back to find his teammates. I think it is time we go to the room as well, right, Naruto-kun, Yugito-chan? Asked Haku and got 2 nods with smiles in return. Hokage's office Sarutobi Hiruzen was sitting in his office, doing the same thing he does every day since he became a Hokage. He was doing paperwork. The aged Hokage was reading reports from various missions from D-ranked to A-ranked missions, as well as some things that shouldn't be on his desk, like some reports of an old lady being robbed by some civilian. His work was interrupted by the sound of a window being opened. Hiruzen smiled, knowing very well who it was. Good to see you back, Jiraiya-kun. I guess that you have something interesting that you came to the village yourself to give me a report about what you discovered, said the Sandaime as Jiraiya took a sit in front of the Hokage. Sarutobi-sensei, I have some troubling news. The white-haired man gave Sandaime a serious look, making Hiruzen's smile to fade away. He sends his personal Anbu squad away and used a jutsu which made it impossible for anybody to hear what they talked about. So, what is it, Jiraiya-kun? Asked Hiruzen as he took out his pipe and started to smoke it. I have actually 3 things I need to tell you. Let's begin with the best one. I have been summoned on the Mount Myoboku for another prophecy, said the Toad Sage, making Sandaime raise a curious eyebrow. What did they say? Asked the old man. Jiraiya nodded and thought a moment. Well, he said exactly that. Jiraiya-kun, a storm is coming, blood with being shed, 1,000 will be killed. There is only one hope for the world to survive, he, a boy who was blessed with a godly talent, but was cursed by his clan's blood. Should he follow the darkness, he will be the one to destroy the world, but if he will choose another path, he will be the one to bring peace to the world. That was exactly what the great Toad Sage said to me, Jiraiya said, alarming Hiruzen about the storm part. Sarutobi-sensei, do you know who he could mean? Asked one of the Sannin. Cursed by his clan's blood? If I would have to guess, I would say that it would be someone from the Uchiha clan, and now that we have only 2 Uchiha alive, my guess would be either Uchiha Itachi, which would be very troublesome, or Uchiha Naruto, the last loyal Uchiha to our village. Of course, it is only my guess. I think that we will have to wait until we are sure, Hiruzen said, making Jiraiya nod. As you know, there is the Akatsuki group, which later helped out in some Iwagakure affairs. I had spied on them since I had some bad feeling about it, and I discovered something very bad. The group is after Biju. Why? I have no clue, but I know that if they are after Biju they will come to Konoha for them both. Another thing is that I have found out who some of the members are. Orochimaru was one of them, but he left the organization. Then there is Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame. The only other thing I know about the group is that they are paired in groups of 2 and each group has their target. Itachi and Kisame are after Kyuubi Jinchuriki, but I don't know who will come for Nibi, said the legendary Toad Sannin. I see, we will have to tell it to Kakashi, who is their sensei, Hiruzen said, making the Gamasani nod once again. And what is the last thing that you want me to tell? Asked the aged Kage. This is probably the worst of them. 2 days ago, Kumogakure, Iwagakure, and Otogakure, the new declared shinobi village, have made an alliance, which they called the Heavenly Alliance, but that is not the worst. What I am worried about is that their armies started to move. I don't want to say it, but if it continues, then the 4th Great Ninja War is at Konoha's door, Jiraiya said, making the god of shinobi go pale until his face went to very serious. Jiraiya, I have a mission for you. You are to go and bring Tsunade back, no matter the cost. Say to her that if she won't come back I will declare her a missing nin and I will send my best Anbu squads with you to take her down. Now if you excuse me, I have to inform the council about everything you told me today, Hiruzen said as he stood up and left his office, leaving a pale Jiraiya alone to his thoughts if he could fulfill this mission. I am getting too old for all this shit. Ninja Academy, room 301. As Team 7 entered the room that the first exam was held, they were welcomed by a wave of killing intent. The only problem is that none of them 7 cared about it since they could make much stronger killing intent than the crowd together, so they weren't affected. As they walked over to the corner of the room, they heard 2 voices shouting to them, or actually, one shouting the other screeching. Naruto-kun. As Team 7 looked over to where they heard the voices, they saw Ino and Sakura running towards Naruto with hearts in their eyes, but before any of them could get close to Naruto, they suddenly stopped in mid-step. When everyone looked down, they saw a 3rd shadow connecting with the 2 Kunoichi's shadows. Thanks, Shikamaru, Naruto said with a smirk, knowing who stopped his two biggest fangirls. Naruto and his two teammates followed the shadow and ended a few meters away, where Team 10, Team 8 and Team 3, the one that Sakura, Sai and Katsuro were. I haven't thought that I would see the laziest person to ever live taking part in the Chunin exams, said Yugito with a smirk. Troublesome blondes, the young Nara heir said with a sigh. Oi, Naruto, who is that chick? Asked Inuzuka Kiba, while his ninkin, Akamaru, barked in agreement. Oh, yeah. Everybody, that is Yuki Haku, my and Yugito-chan's new teammate. We have fought her on a mission and then she together with her sensei came with us to Konoha and are now under the protection of the Uchiha clan, Naruto said with a smile. A few moments after some short introductions, they heard someone say something to them. You all should quiet a bit down. Everyone is tense here and you wouldn't want to piss off some of them, said a boy with silver hair and glasses. All of the Konoha rookies looked at him with confusion. And who do you think you are? Katsuro asked arrogantly, not thinking too much of the newcomer. Oh, where are my manners? My name is Yakushi Kabuto and you can say I am your senpai in these exams, he said with a sheepish smile, while the ribbed back of his head. That means that you have taken these exams already, asked Sakura, a bit curious how hard these exams really are. Yeah, that will be my 7th time. You see, these exams are held twice a year, that means that is my 4th year. These exams are really hard, said Kabuto. Kiba and Katsuro snorted in laughter. Man, you really must suck, said Kiba only to get elbowed by Shino. What was that for, Shino? Asked the Inuzuka. You should not have Kabuto-san. Why? Because you will start taking the exams less serious and we will fail, said the bug user. Well, as I said, I have taken these exams a few times so I can help you guys out. During these exams I have not wasted my time. I have collected intel on all of the participants and written it all on these cards, the silver-haired genin said as he took out a deck of blank cards. So you have intelligence on every one of the participants? Their skills and their weak points? Sai asked, intrigued by how the older genin managed to get all of this information. Indeed, I have information on everyone here, including you. So is there anyone you want to get informed about? Asked the older boy, making everyone in the room to quieten down, to learn everything about their soon-to-be opponents. Give me everything you know about Sabaku no Gaara, Uchiha Naruto, and Yuki Haku, demanded Katsuro, getting a glare from Haku and a curious eyebrow from Naruto. The Uchiha was curious how precise the information is. Alright, so first we have Sabaku no Gaara. He is the same age as you, his father is the Kazekage and his two elder siblings are his teammates. There are not too many information about him, but I get confirmed information that he came back from a B-ranked mission without any scratch, said a paled Kabuto, shocking everyone of the genin. Interesting, Naruto said with an excited smirk cracking his mask of indifference. Many would think that Naruto wasn't liking to fight, but they would be wrong. He, as an Uchiha, had a drive for good battles, but that is exactly the catch. He liked good fights, against worthy opponents. Okay, next we have Uchiha Naruto, he is the same age as you. He comes from the main branch of the famous Uchiha clan, with both his parents being highly listed ninjas. His father was an S-ranked ninja and his mother an A-ranked kunoichi. He is a member of Team 7 together with Yuki Haku and Ni Yugito. Wow, his stats are amazing. His stealth, intelligence, strength, genjutsu, taijutsu, ninjutsu, and shurikenjutsu are all rated 4/5. His speed, stamina, chakra reserves and are all 5/5. But the thing that is special is his kenjutsu. It is the first time I see someone so young with stats for kenjutsu which are 6/5. Kabuto said, making some genin from Kiri and Uzumaki clan to seethe in anger since their countries are known for their kenjutsu. Wait, there is something else. Naruto-san here is listed to be a B-ranked ninja in Kumogakure's bingo books for 5 years, he said, shocking everyone, even Naruto. A single thought going through the heads of every participant. He was 7 as he got into a bingo book. Sadly, I have no intel on Haku-san, since she is new in the village and there is no record of her being a member of another hidden village. The only thing that I was able to collect is that she has the ability to use Hyoden and is a member of the Yuki clan which comes from Kirigakure, informed Kabuto. Suddenly there was an explosion of smoke and when it cleared, a group of Konoha shinobi was standing there. Alright, you little maggots. Everybody shut up and listen carefully, shouted a man in a black coat. The end. Thanks for watching, also remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.